What is up, folks? Greetings. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. What is up, folks? It's time for more Games Bond. It's time for a regular scheduled stream, which feels like it's been a while. I don't know. It's, I had to skip out a Monday stream, but it's not like I don't know. I feel like my streaming schedule, although being impacted by current ongoing events, because my life outside of streaming is so busy, I feel like every time, if it's been like 4 days since I streamed, I feel like it's been 4 weeks. Got a lot going on, but things are trucking along, and we will be continuing, or technically restarting, but basically we'll be continuing the stealth affair tonight, which I'm excited about. Got a few things to say about that. Before we get going, let me just say hello and welcome to everybody. Lord Nico Jazz redeeming things left and right, which is well within their right, of course, for being a ludicrously loyal and generous supporter. With how many months is that? 32 months, almost 3 years of the highest level of Skull Club membership. That is unbelievable. Thank you very much for your continued patronage. We'll get to some beat 'em up guidance soon enough. Mighty Final Fight. Sure, we'll get to that. Let me just get settled in first. Who else is here? Who else is okay, my chat window is just getting blocked by whatever. Okay, fine. Space Hoppercopter, Headwound Yoda, Brunin G, always with the friendly reminders. Brodama Wednesday saved. Well, my Wednesday's pretty good. I was able to leave work and stream. So if you guys are taking this positively as well, that's great. That's great. Marmot SRL. It's a lovely dancing cat emote you got there. Anyway, lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, and everybody else, of course, you're all welcome as well. And I hope everyone is having a nice week so far. I'm having a good week, I have to say. I have finally, after a lot of, well, not hard work on my part exactly, but a lot of tinkering, a lot of waiting, a lot of false starts and misinformation and miscommunication and whatever else. I finally have in my possession, in the other room, my new PC. It has been fully assembled. It has been fully, I was going to say configured. It definitely has not. But it does technically have Windows installed. It has been transported to my home. And I will be spending probably the next couple of nights messing around with it, getting software and drivers and everything else installed. And it's going to be a little bit of a process, I reckon, to kind of migrate my, I don't know, my life from this PC, Old Faithful, that I'm streaming from right now, to the new one. I'll still be keeping this one, probably put it in my bedroom and whatever. But needless to say, there's going to be stuff when you get a new PC where you kind of realize, like, oh shit, that's right, I don't have such and such installed. And I'm going to need to, I should say, take great care to make sure that everything that I need for streaming and everything is functional and up and running before I can commit to, stream. I'm not going to keep this PC to stream from, like, I can't really keep both of them here at the desk, but hopefully the transition as it happens will be reasonably smooth. But, it's entirely possible that the first stream or two off the new PC, we're going to have some issues because I'm going to figure out stuff that isn't quite set up correctly in a way that might not be super easy to sort of discover, just in testing. But whatever, we'll that's a luxury problem that I don't mind having. What's up, Tino? Yeah, that's the thing, right? You keep, like, these things I think are certainly smoother nowadays than they used to be, because, like, for better or for worse, so much of one's life is sort of tied into these online accounts and everything that you can kind of, there's syncing features and stuff like that that'll make some of it a lot easier. And frankly, you know, I wouldn't want to, even if I could do like a one-to-one migration with a press of a button, I absolutely would not want to do that. Like I did that with my phone because I got a new phone a few months back, and that was like, I was dreading that, and I was like, you know what? Okay, this is pretty nice. It's just like everything is where I want it. It works. It's fine. But part of why I'm looking forward to getting a new PC is I got like fucking 6 years almost of just bullshit on this Windows disk that I would not want to bring with me. You know, we have all these little, you know, niggles and quibbles with everything. Everything's just like not, they're working quite the way it should. And the worst thing ever would be to just have all that carryover. That's the last thing I want. Hey, what's up, McCall? So it's obviously, it's cathartic, right? To have a fresh new start. But the price you have to pay for that is realizing this one piece of software that you use once every, you know, 8 months isn't installed. But I think we'll be fine. You know, throwing on a stream is a little bit of a trial by fire, but that's not the worst thing. Not the worst thing. Like I said, I have the PC in my possession. I don't think I'll, by the time we're done streaming tonight, I won't have any energy to like unbox and, you know, mess around with it. But maybe tomorrow night, most likely Friday, I'll be tinkering with it for a bit. And best case scenario, I can stream from the new PC on Saturday, but we'll see how that goes. I think that's a little bit optimistic, but it depends. If I manage to get home early on Friday, I have nothing else to do, and I spend all night doing it, like, then yeah, maybe. We'll see. Like, I have a lot of issues with my current PC. There's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to with the new one, but at the end of the day, my current PC is functioning well enough for it not to be a fully, like, emergency situation where I need to get on the new PC as quickly as humanly possible. Which means that anything that's going to be, like, where the transitioning itself is going to feel like more of a hassle, it's just going to be kind of easier to stick with the old one. Yeah, we'll see. I'm literally, like, popping, like, I'm not moving any physical components or parts over from my old PC. I'm not, like, I will be going over and looking through the stuff that I have on this PC that I want to bring over, but a lot of it is already on external drives, and most of my most important stuff I have in my Dropbox anyway, so I'm not gonna, like, if I find myself needing something that's on this PC, getting hold of it after the fact should not be a big deal. It's just that you want to kind of smooth out that process and get as much of all that crap done in one go as you possibly can, so you don't have to do it over, like, you know, in sort of fits and starts. But we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to everything being way faster and smoother and less error prone, and yeah, should be fun. Like, a lot of, like, the biggest upgrade, like, I'm going from a 1070 to a 3080, so it's going to be quite a bit of, you know, a bit of a leap for the GPU, which is great. I'm looking forward to that. But I'm not even really thinking too much about, like, game performance stuff. Like, I'm glad to have a good PC to be playing Street Fighter 6 when that drops. But I don't really play new PC games all that much, so that's not my main concern. But I still want to have a good GPU for when I need it, but also for like 3D and video rendering and, like, streaming. There's a lot of stuff where a good CPU and a good GPU will be very helpful. But honestly, I think the other biggest upgrade for me is the storage. Because I'm running all M2 drives, which should be pretty lightning fast compared to what I'm used to. So that's going to make every little thing, like, so much more, just the quality of life is just going to be increased dramatically. And I think the best part is I'm not even, like, the thing that I'm currently annoyed with my current PC is just, like, very specific minor things. So if you have stuff that you're really annoyed with that it doesn't work properly, yeah, sure, it's a relief and it's nice to move on from that. But if I'm already, like, mostly satisfied, or at least I can feel that stuff is, like, adequate, I feel in some ways that's gonna just make the leap even more like easy to appreciate. Because I'm already decently happy, but if it's going to be like 10 times faster, it's going to be incredible. It's not even going from, miserable to the way it should be. It's going from like, fairly decent, I guess, to like fucking amazing. That's my hope anyway. I guess I shouldn't set my expectations too high. But anyway, yeah, it might be a little bit of a process. We'll see how it goes. If I don't have everything up and running by Saturday, I'll probably spend most of Sunday getting it all set up. So at the latest, I should have everything, my new PC. So one example of things I'm looking forward to being able to do is we had some weird Twitch connection issues last time. If you recall, a stream like dropped twice, I think, in a completely weird way. It just like on my end, it's like I dropped frames for a little bit and then I came back up, but the stream ended. It was really weird. And when that happens, it'll split up the recordings right on Twitch. So I'm like, well, okay, I can publish those VODs, but I would really like to stitch them together so it's in one VOD. And I can't do that right now because I don't have enough disk space on my C drive to like install, let alone run DaVinci Resolve, which is the program I've been using for my video editing stuff. I have a fairly small system drive, and it's all basically like most of it is clogged up by stuff that I just, the kind of cruft that just builds up over years of use. But I'm going from like a 100 gigabyte SSD to a 1 terabyte M2 drive for my system disk. So that's going to be a pretty dramatic improvement. Although I'm only intending to keep like system stuff on that drive. But even my like work and storage stuff is going to be much faster and everything. So it's going to be a lot better. But yeah, stuff like having to constantly uninstall programs because even though I should have like 8 gigs free, something's like throwing up a warning window and I'm like dismissing it. It's like, wait, why is it complaining about disk space? I have 156 megabytes free all of a sudden. I don't know, shit like that. It's gonna be nice to not have to worry about. So yeah, there's a lot of big and small things. It's gonna be nice. I don't know that you guys are gonna experience too much of a difference on stream. There might be some little hiccups here and there that's gonna be like propagated to you guys, which is gonna be smoothed out. I'm considering maybe bumping up my stream resolution or quality. It's something I've been I talked about this last time too, where the settings I'm using now is sort of the kind of stuff I've seen recommended for like, a balanced image quality, resolution, bitrate, whatever, for like most viewers. Given that as an affiliate, I can't guarantee I'm not guaranteed having transcoding options. And that's still true, but at the same time, what your kind of average, like what level you should set your quality at based on how you expect people to be able to watch the stream, like, people's computer and connection quality on average, it probably isn't the same today as it was when I kind of set those settings up several years ago. So who knows? Maybe we'll see some changes like that. I was gonna say something else, I think, but I forget. Whatever. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll definitely be keeping you guys posted on developments as they happen, and then at least in the effect that they, in the case that they affect you somehow. With that out of the way, I guess it's time to do some beat 'em up guidance. Let's read and see what the self-proclaimed ultimate guide on side-scrolling beat 'em ups, ultimate guide to side-scrolling beat 'em ups, has to say on the topic of a mighty Final Fight. I just realized I gotta go grab a thing. Let me just pop this up real quick. I'll be back very shortly. All right, I'm back. So here it is, the somewhat questionable guide to side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Mighty Final Fight, page 248. Let's see. There we go. All right, so it's a bit of a shorter article. It's just a single page. There we go. Sort of. You can't really see what I'm doing, but there you have it. Let's read what it says. Mighty Final Fight, developer Capcom, released 1993. The 8-bit home console market was entering its final days in 1993, but many developers were still bringing out great games for the NES right up until the very end. Mighty Final Fight is essentially a remake of the 1989 arcade original, but with a few new mechanics, a cutesy art style, and a fun sense of humor. The plot is actually a silly parody of the old kidnapped girlfriend concept, which had long grown stale by the time the game came out. In Mighty Final Fight, Cody's girlfriend Jessica is literally a beacon of hope and light who keeps the people of Metro City happy. The Mad Gear gang kidnap her to bring the city into an age of crime and darkness. It makes no sense, but it's also brilliantly tongue-in-cheek. The lighter tone also means you get a lot of corny and hilarious trash talk between the good guys and some meat-headed bosses along the way. The combat's simple, but Capcom's typically fluid gameplay makes it a joy to control from start to finish. Just as in the original, you have standing attacks, jump kicks, and 2-button specials at your disposal. There's even an RPG-light progression system that sees your character get faster and stronger after earning enough experience points, giving you a real sense of empowerment as you battle across Metro City. On top of the gameplay and stylized visuals, one of the game's highlights lies in seeing cute versions of the original Final Fight's bad guys and bosses. Most of the classics return, including the pink-haired street punk Poison, hulking pro wrestler Abigail, and the katana-wielding samurai Sodom. It's great fun taking them all on again in a new cute form. It's really interesting to see Capcom's original game remixed in such an inventive way. It makes Mighty Final Fight something of a rare, curious oddity that's well worth seeking out. Well, it's an inoffensive take, I suppose. We got some screenshot captions here. Guy's flying kick is just as awesome as it was in the full fat game. Fair enough. Watch out for Abigail's huge attacks and use an air move to counter. And I want to say impressively, it actually does appear as if these images are in the correct aspect ratio, if you can believe that. I guess, you know, with all the CPS screenshots being all wrong and cropped, you know, for fitting these NES screenshots into these 4x3 templates, I guess they realized they had to stretch them to fit and not crop them vertically. Anyway, yeah, I don't really have much to say. I think it's a, as with anything in this book, it certainly doesn't really get into much mechanical detail. Basically just, I don't know, it's like a very simple summary. I think I mentioned this before, but a couple of weeks ago, I did finally write my customer review of this book, where I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Basically complaining about the aspect ratio issue, as well as the writing just being pretty superficial. And there was like one other review among, I don't know, hundreds, at the very least dozens. But there was one other review that wasn't like completely positive, basically. And that review basically, which I think like really hit the nail on the head. But what they said in that review was that it's nice, you know, the book covers a lot of games, but for each individual game, you get the feeling that like there's nothing written in this book that you couldn't glean from watching a YouTube video of gameplay footage of each of these games. There's like no real insight beyond what, like, if you know of a game, if you have seen a game, let alone played it, you're likely to have all the information already that's going to be in this book. And I think that was a good way of putting it, because like it doesn't. I mean, I'm not saying the author didn't play all these games and research them or whatever, but there's not a lot of that on display in the book, and I think this article is a good example, because if you think again about what, like, okay, sure, oh, it's joy to control because Capcom's, you know, whatever, it's well done, which is true. But it's still a generic and vague enough statement that you could safely regurgitate that from somebody else's experience, and you're never going to be fact checked on it because you're not being specific enough in any claims. Like, the rest of it, it's like, yep, it's cute, it's like Final Fight, it's a parody of the plot. And in fairness, like, I don't know, I think a book like this that covers this many games, unless you want it to be 4,000 pages long, it's gonna be these kind of Wikipedia top of page summaries. Because what else can you really fit? I guess what I take issue with is like, which again I wouldn't put on the author, but the way it bills itself as the ultimate guide. Like, yeah, of course, you're not going to be able to have like a fully in-depth strategy guide to every beat 'em up ever. But I feel like I would like a little bit of something that's like something beyond what I could have gleaned from watching 5 minutes of YouTube footage of any one of these games. What's up, Running Wild? I just bring it up. Feels like a book you'd give to someone who doesn't play a lot of video games but might be interested in them. Yeah, like, to me, this book does not. This book is not aimed at what I would call fans of beat 'em ups, because I think if, at least in my universe, I'm a fan of beat 'em up, so I feel like I know what a fan of beat 'em ups means, and I think, in my view, what that person, like, if you're that kind of person, at least the way I am, you're already gonna be familiar with all this stuff. Like, you're not learning anything new, and I think it's, for a book that's, even though, yeah, it's got a kind of visual presentation to it, it's still ultimately about the text. And sure, it's not like an encyclopedia. It's a coffee table book. Like, it's, you know, it's kind of nice to flip through and look at the pictures and everything. But I'm not really learning anything new. And I wonder, I don't know, is it like for someone who thinks of themselves as a fan of beat 'em ups, but they've only played Streets of Rage 2? I don't know. I don't know, is it like someone who likes the idea of beat 'em ups or the idea of a book like this? I don't know, because like they've Bitmap Books have published other similar, there's like they've published a I should say, yeah, published. It's not like the same people, it's not the same authors or anything, but I know there's like a computer RPG book, and I think there's some kind of point and click adventure book. And I feel like, in my case, if I got the book on computer RPGs, that's not a genre I'm very well versed in. I would learn a lot more than I would from this book. I could see myself hypothetically being kind of curious. But if it's like a fighting game book or something like that, like, yeah, for sure, I'm not going to learn anything new, because of course my level of familiarity is going to be way beyond what you can cover in this kind of a book. But at the same time, just based on what the writing is like in a book like this, if I assume for a moment that this CRPG book is like the exact equivalent, I feel like, well, what am I actually going to learn? Like, it's like I'll read about something that I'm not familiar with, and I think basically I feel like I might as well just kind of read a list of names with a couple of screenshots, because if I see something and I read about it and I'm interested in it,
unspeakable horror awaits.
I'm just going to basically be like, all right, now I know what to look up in my own research, where I'm actually going to learn something which I didn't really from the book. Atomic Runner, 34 months. Getting pretty close to 3 millennia. Thank you very, very much for your continued patronage. Appreciate it. Yeah, so like I feel like, I don't know, it's been an interesting experience flipping through this book and reading part of it. Like I don't regret getting it or anything. I'm, you know, it's a fun enough thing to have on my shelf, but it's kind of thing where like I feel like this would be perfectly fine for me to leave at work, at my office, but more than that, like in the for the students at the school. For those of you who are not familiar, I don't really teach anymore, but the company I work for, among several other things, we also run a vocational school for game development, where I used to teach more actively. So I feel like if I leave this in like the lounge kind of public, you know, bookshelf, whatever, yeah, you know, there might be someone who will find it interesting to flip through. And those guys who are like, you know, in their late teens, early 20s, most of them, I'm sure they're going to know about 3 games in this book tops. So they will at least learn something about, you know, they'll see things they haven't seen or know, like things they don't know, but they're not going to, again, get much valuable insight, I don't feel like. But I can see that as being a perfectly fine context for where having a book like this is like meaningful, or at least someone will get something out of it. But I think, like, you know, I've not in a serious sense, but I've definitely been toying with the idea of what it would mean to write an actual kind of book about beat 'em ups or something like that, because I wouldn't be necessarily like in one way, sure, I could write something like this that's closer to what I would imagine it to be, but it would end up being this ridiculous 8,000 page thing. To say nothing of like the research I'd have to go into, but like, and I don't even know what I would want exactly. So just even figuring that out would be more than a challenge. But the thing I've been more like thinking of, which isn't necessarily like an ambition or a plan to actually write something, but more so, I feel that there is a very, very distinct absence of, is some kind of written like reference for beat 'em up game design as a whole, not talking about individual games specifically, but as far as, again, like in terms of teaching and stuff like that, I think there are references for certain types of games, whether it's like wikis or just good articles on, like, there's been a few articles that I've recommended time and time again about like shoot 'em up scoring, where it's like, yeah, I know people who have written stuff like that. And there was this really good like Google Doc floating around a couple of months ago that was literally like sort of a primer on shoot 'em up game design that talks about like all these basic components and like why things work the way they do, with a lot of examples and everything. And that's like perfect. Like, and I think you can certainly find a lot of YouTube videos analyzing and talking about, I don't know, FPS map design or all kinds of different things. But looking for like, and I have looked just because I feel like I would want this to exist for my own sake, because I want to read it, I want to learn from it. But like finding any sort of central work that explains beat 'em up mechanics, or, you know, what makes a good beat 'em up or whatever, there's like nothing in English anyway. Like, I feel like for me, what I would want to do, and that's the thing too, I don't feel qualified to write a book like that, or an article, or a Google Doc or whatever. But for me, the first place I would start is like Japanese wikis, because I was looking through like some kind of strategy thing, because there's a lot of these like Japanese strategy wikis for games, for individual games. And I found a really cool YouTube channel of this Japanese dude, all about Final Fight. And it's like dozens and dozens of videos about these like individual little tricks and quirks and weird things. And I feel like it's not that I would want to write a book about these individual tricks in Final Fight, but I would want to have that level of mechanical understanding of the game to somewhat authoritatively express the hows and whys of, like, enemy patterns and everything. You guys, regular viewers, will know that I'm very opinionated, and when we're playing beat 'em ups, I often comment on pacing and structure and these things that, like, stand out to me as, like, good or bad. And I guess what I really want is a better, like, some kind of basis to quantify those emotions and like feelings and thoughts. Because I can only sort of I can only get so far by pointing to, look at Final Fight and see how they do it, or whatever. So I think, like, if someone put together this, like, 400-page Google Doc of, like, distilled, knowledge and, like, analysis of beat 'em up games or whatever, like, I'd be riveted. But given that I haven't seen anyone write something like that, that's kind of how I feel. Like, well, if no one else is doing it, fuck, maybe I gotta do it. And that it's more so from that point of view than me having my own, like, inner urge and desire to write that thing. It's more like, I want this to exist, and if it comes to it, maybe I'll do it then. But anyway, I have more than enough on my plate for now for that to be an imminent threat. But like I said, it's a thought that, like, very loosely has been kind of bouncing around in my head. It's more so the frustration that that kind of thing doesn't exist as it is a desire to write it specifically. But again, it, like, comes down to, like, when when I'm doing, like, thought experiments or kind of jotting down notes or having some ideas for my own, like, beat 'em up game design and stuff. I feel like I would want there to be something to reference, and there basically isn't, which I think is unfortunate, especially for a genre that is so mechanically dense. Like, it makes sense for me that there's a ton of writing and this kind of things when it comes to shoot 'em ups, because they are so, I mean, they can be mechanically dense, but more importantly, they're so utterly defined by their mechanics. Sure, there can be a lot of cool aesthetics in a shoot 'em up as well, but they're so, I think when it comes down to it, like, the people who are passionate about those games ultimately barely care about anything beyond the mechanics. So it makes sense that, like, people who are into those games, who like playing those games, who like watching those games, sort of congregate around the analysis and of the mechanics and all that. Whereas I think for something like beat 'em ups, a lot of its appeal, like, if you look at not the most hardcore people, but, like, in a broad sense, I think, like, the vibes and atmosphere and just pressing buttons with a friend and having fun together, like, that's a big part of it. And I don't think you're going to convert someone with that level of interest into reading this, like, technical analysis. So maybe that's why. I don't know. NPC, hello. I'm not sure if I said hi. Market's kind of saturated with books like that, just list stuff, some pictures. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have books. I have some books in my collection that are a lot more in-depth and kind of have more interesting things to say. I just recently got that. You can actually see just right there, the orange spine there. That's the Like a Hurricane, the oral history of Street Fighter, which I backed on Kickstarter. And I haven't, like, I keep forgetting that I have it. I haven't started reading it or anything. So even the books that I'm actually interested in reading, I've read far more of this than I have any of the books that I'm actually, somewhat confident in that they actually have anything interesting to say. But that's self-inflicted, so I can't complain. Anyway, thank you very much for that, Nico Jazz. I'm happy to have that thing on there. It's a fun redemption thing, because we always end up having these interesting discussions, or I go on can I call it an interesting rant? I'm enjoying it anyway. I'm getting something out of verbalizing my thoughts. Trying to think, is there anything else? Bought a Tactics Ogre book. You don't want to open it until you play the game. Yeah, there's some of that too. Actually, you did remind me, speaking of buying stuff, I do have some stuff that I have received in the mail that we will be unboxing soon. So I think Saturday stream, most likely, we'll be doing some unboxing and looking at stuff. Mostly a bunch of toys. Maybe something else, I forget. But that should hopefully pan out well. We'll see how that potentially conflicts with the whole new PC thing. But it could even be the case that an unboxing stream is going to be technically easier to accomplish than anything else I could do. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so I received a package from Big Bad Toy Store with some figures. I have a small box from Japan with a figure in it. And we even have some leftovers from Christmas that I didn't really get a closer look at that we'll probably open up and look at real quick then. I also made a purchasing decision the other night, which I'm a little anxious about. But the fruits of that will be harvested probably a few months from now. When that happens, we'll be talking about that on stream for sure. I'll leave it mysterious and ambiguous for now. It's figure related, I'll say that. It's not a game thing, or it's not a game. It's not software. But as always, there's something on the horizon. There's something, in the pipeline as far as unboxing stuff goes. So look forward to that. But Saturday, again, we should be looking at some toys, hopefully. Precisely why you're redeeming it. Well, I'm glad you feel you're getting your con coins worth. I have to assume you do, because you haven't stopped subscribing yet, so doing something right, I suppose. Anyway, this is why we're here, right? We're gonna play some Bond. So some quick updates on that. Huge shout outs to Vinot for helping out, real MVP, helping me with some technical stuff that I can't be bothered or capable of figuring out myself. Thanks to them, we will now be able to play the Amiga version of the Stealth Affair. It's been interesting playing through a tiny bit of the beginning of the game of both the DOS version and the Amiga version. I feel both of them have pros and cons over the other. There's from a technical standpoint, of course, the DOS version has more colors on screen. I don't feel like the additional color depth has been used responsibly in all cases. There are certainly screens and places that I think look better in the Amiga version. But there are also ones where you look at the Amiga version and you can kind of tell that okay, there's some color missing here. I think the audio is unquestionably better on the Amiga version. But like I said, it's interesting that it's not so cut and dry which one is better. But I feel like the Amiga version, maybe it's just the audio, but to me, I just feel like it's sort of more closer to an original version. I mean, it's not that I've done research. I don't know which came out first. I don't know which was the development. I just associate Delphine Software with the Amiga. Maybe that's why. But if for no other reason than being thorough and checking things out, we will be playing the Amiga version tonight. But also, in addition, I also received help and can confirm that I now have in my possession, up and running, 007 Aqua Base for the Texas Instruments TI-99A4. 4A, whatever it's called. I think it's supposed to be 4A, not A4, whatever. This is the second Q-Branch research-funded secret mission. The shit's been going completely out of control. We're now at 21,772 credits of our 15,000 goal, and I'm not I'll just have to figure out how this what we're gonna do, because right now we're reaching goals faster than we can get to the game, and I have a couple of these bonus games lined up, but not that many. So I certainly don't want to just burn through all of them before we can get anywhere in the real challenge. So even though this was actually met before we started the stealth affair, we'll definitely finish the stealth affair first, and then we'll move to Aqua Base. And until we play Aqua Base, I'm not even going to think about putting credits towards the next goal after that. That's not to say that your credits will be completely wasted, or, you know, however that's going to work. I haven't figured that out yet. But you know, let's just say that the actual amounts for the goals may need some adjustments. That's kind of been the case the entire time. I'm kind of playing this by ear, figuring out as we go along. But Aqua Base, another candidate for a first Bond game. I don't have exact release dates, so I don't know if this came out before or after Shaken But Not Stirred, which we played. This was, of course, the bonus secret mission number 1. A pretty ambitious and interesting Spectrum game from Richard Shepard Software, where we, of course, had to go through the 3D maze to escape the wrath of Pause. Maybe the coolest thing in a Bond game so far. In a 1982 single developer Bond game, no less. So also from 1982, we have Scott Morgan's Aqua Base. And this was the first in a series of adventure games, none of which I know anything about. But we're probably not going to play them because they don't have anything to do with James Bond. It'll be fun and interesting to see to what degree this incorporates anything to do with Bond. Clearly, it's like an unlicensed game, which is why it's not on the proper list. But we'll see if we can figure it out. I booted it up, and at least we're able to confirm that I could play it. I was basically able to get stuck very quickly. But maybe with the help of chat, we can figure out how to play this game and how to beat it, hopefully. But 007 Aqua Base will be the next game after the Stealth Affair. And from there, we'll figure out what the next milestone is going to be for the Q Branch Research Funding Initiative. And once we reach goal number 3, we will announce what that game is going to be. But hopefully, it won't. Hopefully, we'll get to some proper games first. It has an in-game hint system. That's interesting. The box right there, or the paper sleeve, or whatever it came in, does say difficulty beginner, ages 12 to adult. So I feel like a chat room of, well, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say I'm not the only person in their 30s here. If we can figure it out together. But that's neither here nor there. Tonight we are continuing the Stealth Affair, or as I mentioned, basically starting over. Actually, we spent, as you can see, about an hour 51 minutes with the DOS version last time, so we should be able to retrace our steps very easily. And we'll see if we can make any amount of progress. We made it out of the airport and into this surprisingly large city area where we can wander around a couple of different screens with no immediately obvious goals or objectives. So we'll replay the intro and see if the head of CIA in his briefing gives us any details that we were sort of glossing over or forgetting about last time. Hey, what's up, Minot? Thank you again for your help. Appreciate it. It's been one of the very first game with a hint system. Yeah, that's pretty crazy for 1982, I have to say. Well, with that out of the way, let's there we go. Okay. Let's see if we can get the game up and running. Let me get rid of these jams here in the background, which I guess are barely audible anyway. And oh yeah, that's pretty loud. Let me fix that. All right, bring it down to a 1% volume. Yeah, sorry about that. What Brett beep. Also, it does look like we're only getting mono audio, but I think that is by design. I'm pretty sure once the intro music starts playing, we'll be able to know if we have stereo sound. We're gonna need to do our copy protection thing, so I need to bring up my perfectly legitimate copy protection sheet. This little bug leg is, oh fuck, okay. It's either red or pink, and it is impossible to tell which is which. I think it's red, but we'll find out. This one is definitely yellow. Okay, so that one was pink. Okay. Try again. Yeah, so we have to wait for... Well, actually, I think I can speed it up. And, I don't know if the intro's going to play at the right speed. Let's just enjoy this. Get into the mood. Maybe it's by design. They don't want people to brute force the copy protection, which I think would be pretty impossible anyway. Yeah, I'm not super well versed in Amiga hardware, but it makes perfect sense that the the stereo range, whatever you'd call it, would be defined, like that there's no panning basically. And this one is black. All right, enjoy. This is gonna be way sicker. Even with MT32, the music is definitely way sicker in the Amiga version. Actually, let me bump it up.
I can think of nothing better.
2%. Pretty even. All right. See, this definitely looks better because there's no weird gradients. Like the visor of this helmet that he's gonna put on looks so much better in this version. Like the DOS version has these like really awkward, perfectly smooth gradients that don't fit in at all. This looks way better. Hey, what's up, Cody? Put your Cody Pauls in chat. Okay, I guess it froze. Oh, there we go. Just loading. Like, so far, I think the graphics look awesome. There's, like, nothing about it that looks compromised because of the Amiga color depth or anything. But we'll see some things that are maybe a little bit more that way later on. But there's even, in fact, some things that look cooler here. CIA headquarters, like, arguably more detailed. So in this office, for example, the carpet is not in the DOS version. But there's these, like, gradients instead. Hello, Mr. Bond. And also the text boxes are like transparent in the Amiga version, but they're not in the DOS version. Hello, Mr. Director. How can I be of service? My government's asked your Majesty's government for the cooperation of MI5. Your superiors have loaned you to us until we can clear this situation up. There's a beautiful hand waving for why James Bond is working for CIA. Yeah, the look of the text boxes is much nicer in the Amiga version for sure. If I can be direct, what is the situation? Well, Bond, have you heard of the stealth? All right, got some extremely appropriate comedy there. A little through the standard channels. It's an advanced aircraft capable of penetrating through any current technology. Wait, what? Any current technology electronic detection screen, invulnerable to radar. Heavy firepower. Correct, Mr. Bond. However, the version you're talking about is now obsolete. Up until now, we had a far superior model of the stealth. Up until now? What happened? The stealth was being tested at NAS Miramar, home of the finest pilots in the world. One of the pilots was killed, and the plane stolen. Soviets? The Pentagon thinks so, but evidence has surfaced leading us to believe that they were not involved directly. Where should I start? Fortunately, we had a live sighting of the stealth. One of our agents in a small Latin American country called Santa Paragua has report of the stealth landing there. Santa Paragua, that's where I'll start. Our agent will contact you shortly after you arrive. I'll have transportation, arrange everything. All right, so this is kind of what I was looking for. Like, what did he actually say in the briefing? Also, I should start the timer. They will contact us, apparently. Well, we weren't contacted in the first 2 hours of the game last time. Let's see if we can make that happen. Oh, I almost forgot a couple of things. You'll not be able to carry a firearm into the country, but our agent will arrange to get you a replacement as soon as you contact him. Okay, so now I'm contacting him. Also, a gentleman named Q sent this package for you. I said you'll know what to do with it, and that you'd better not treat it like you usually do. Yeah, our top secret agent briefcase. Mr. Bond, you must recover the stealth. The fate of the free world may depend upon you. Good luck, Mr. Bond. Thank you, Mr. Director. Dude, the character looks so fucking good. The art in general is awesome in this game. And the music for that matter. Santa Paragua. So this is kind of the first screen where you can notice some differences from the DOS version. I mean, not literally, there are differences in every screen so far, but the reflections, everything looks a little rougher here. But it's interesting, having not like compared it side by side or looked at the other one right now, this looks perfectly fine. There's nothing about it that still looks weird. And there's even details like the little reflections in this little booth that are not present in the DOS version, which is definitely a bit odd. All right, so I didn't want to mess with this in the intro because I wasn't sure if it was going to mess anything up. Dude, this sound of walking, like, how sick does this sound? And like the stereo too, left, right. But I can press the plus key to speed the game up a little bit. Probably a little bit too fast, but it's good for convenience. It's a newspaper stand. So, yeah, one thing that I don't like much about this game is that, like, most interactions give very poor response. Like, if you do something that doesn't work, the game is gonna, like, admonish you for trying it and be, like, annoyed that you dared try to do things. Like, sort of make glib, sarcastic comments at your expense, which I think is a weird thing to do. And it's also none of the writing, because this originally wasn't a Bond game, right? It was like a Bond, I guess pastiche is the right word, right? It wasn't a parody exactly, but it was like a pastiche where they had no concerns about like sticking to a particular tone to be faithful. So they were free to do their own thing, of course. But here, when it's now officially Bond branded, those tonal issues like stick out like a sore thumb. Power of the Amiga, yeah. It's the highly Amiga powered game for sure. And it's kind of sad that like you try to examine or like interact with things and like you'll see, you know, we might not repeat everything that we did last time just for the sake of doing it, but there's going to be very rarely do you get any kind of response. It's just like the narrator talking directly to you as a player. not acknowledging what actually is happening in the game world, which is can work for some games, I'm sure, but yeah, it doesn't fit the tone of like Bond at all, in my opinion. The newspaper stand. So let's oh yeah, wait, how do I both? Yeah, there we go. Both buttons. So I did a little save file here just to test, but we'll save here. We'll see this guy. It's gonna stop us pretty aggressively. Stop, senor! Do not pass here. Your passport. So we gotta. Yeah, the mechanics of this is a bit weird. If I just click inventory, I just see a list. I cannot interact with this list. If I want to actually use something here, I have to click use. But if I left click use, oh, well, okay, that's a special case. If I left click examine, for example, I can examine something in the room. But if I right click, I then get the inventory list. But actually, the use verb is specifically for using an inventory item. So it's kind of weird, like, couldn't that have just been the inventory? That I click this and click, like, no, I just can't. So let's operate. Nope, I have to right click this, briefcase. It's opening. So this, I think, definitely looks a little bit better in the DOS version. The shirt is like blue. It doesn't quite blend in the same way. So I have an American passport here. Excellent James Bond portrait there. You open the passport and you don't find anything else except what you already know. There's definitely some non-native English. The translation is very, I don't want to call it very rough, but you can tell that it's not native English for sure. That it's like translated. And I talked about this last time before. There's something about the cadence and the I don't know, like maybe I'm predisposed to thinking this because I know that it's a French developed game, but comparing to other people I know who are French and how they speak English, I feel like there's just certain quirks to the use of the English language that feels specific to French people speaking English, that you can kind of see vestiges of in the writing. And it's hard to pinpoint what it is exactly, but there's just something, let's call it a je ne sais quoi, about the writing that makes it feel French. Anyway, so we can take the cash, and we can take the American passport. That takes it out of the briefcase and into our inventory. And I want to do this because I actually want to see what this looks like. You know, use American passport on customs official. You show your passport to the customs official. Senor Bond, Americanos, I am happy to welcome you in our beautiful country. I just spoke with my buddy Pablo. He says that there are less and less Americanos who come here lately. And less Americanos means less hostages, right? Hostages! I don't know who's saying this, but was that Bond's response? I don't know. Si, senor. The government offers a bounty of 1,000 cruceros. My family and I thank you for this stroke of good luck. Buff commandos taking Bond. After. Alas, you have just failed miserably before you have even begun. As the prison door slams shut behind you, probably for a very, very long time, you can't help but remember the ritual little phrase that was repeated each time you left on a new mission. In case of failure, our government will deny any knowledge of you. There we have it. I guess we just gotta restore game. I feel like this looks better. Bias for the Amiga version. Yeah, I think there are definitely rooms, even in the little bit I've seen so far, where it's like clearly the DOS version looks, even if I can't say clearly looks better, even though I think that's probably the case, but what you can sort of unquestionably, undeniably say is that like the Amiga version looks compromised. It doesn't look like it quite delivers on the vision of that particular scene. And I think for this screen, I don't have it in front of me, but like, yeah, I think that this scene has a little bit of that, but I still think it looks perfectly fine. I don't think necessarily one looks better than the other. But the DOS version does, in a lot of places, have like gradients on the floors and walls and stuff that I don't think makes anything look better. I talked about this extensively last time, but for me, the thing that I can kind of compare it to is the 16 and 256 color versions of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where it was a 16 color game originally, but there was later a 256 color version where all of the original sort of color choices remained basically, but they added these kind of dithered gradients to stuff to sort of add more color. And it's not a terrible looking game, but it absolutely looks like a 16 color game that's been sort of touched up. And I don't think necessarily that game suffers too much from it, but I would still rather play the 16 color version. And I'm sure there are other similar cases where the touching up made something look like where it was much more of a detriment to the game. Loom, I guess, maybe comes to mind. But here, I think it is one of those cases where the flat surfaces like don't look bad at all. It looks perfectly fine. And the gradients add like arguably add detail, but they kind of add texture and they add like they create an inconsistency in the level of fidelity, which is more like stands out more than any lack of fidelity does here. Because here all the detail feels much more deliberate. Well, the audio is definitely better on the Amiga, no doubt. Like some of it sounds great on the MT32, but you really get the feeling listening to both, like it absolutely sounds like it was made on the Amiga and they kind of made do the best they could with any other version. If I'm not mistaken, this slot is meant for coins, but if we examine the coin return slot, finally, a coin. When you pick up the coin, you get the strange feeling you've done this some time before. So I guess this is a reference to Future Wars, someone said in chat. So I guess I took the coin. Yeah. I think you can try to give money to him to ask for change and he doesn't have any. So now that we have coin, we can use it in the coin slot. Stick the coin in the box. A newspaper! But it worked the first time. Do you think they repaired it since the last time? So I guess there's a puzzle in Future Wars where you use a coin in a vending machine and it doesn't work. That's what someone in chat told me last time. So now we can right-click Examine to examine in my inventory the newspaper. One of the articles attracts your attention. Diplomatic relations will be reopened between Santa Paragua and France. Alfonso Merguez, a government spokesman, announced that a reception will be held, etc., etc., etc. So that's our little hint that the French are more positively received in Santa Paragua than Americans or Brits. So with that knowledge, we can head into the bathroom. Yeah, here, the bathroom mirrors look a little bit rough here. They look better in the other version for sure. The stuff like this where like operate flush, no result. Like examine toilet, you find nothing. Like all of these responses you get for trying to interact with stuff are very dry and bland and aren't like in some cases they're just very dry like this. In other cases they're kind of written in a way, again, like I said, where it feels like the game is the narrator is talking directly to you as a player in a sort of tone of voice that seems completely out of place, which is really weird. Anyway, now we're in private. We can operate our briefcase. And we can examine this and I guess take the currency. And I guess it's probably a good idea to take this because there's going to be a section a few minutes from now where we're going to hand over the briefcase for another security person to look through it. And I would think that it's probably good if he doesn't find another passport here, because we're gonna arrange a French passport in the privacy of our airport bathroom. So hopefully, picking this up and adding it to my inventory is not going to cause any problems. Okay, you take it. So this is a calculator, right? Yeah. It's the way of unlocking the secret compartment of my briefcase. So in the manual, which we read through last time, which actually maybe we should read through in case there's some mission briefing details there, but I don't think there really are. It gives us all the details about all these different Q gadgets and everything. So by operating the calculator, secret compartment opens. Jump. Yeah, this is very kind of rough looking color wise compared to the DOS version. But obviously the point comes across. It's not unappealing to look at, so it's totally fine. So here we can England, Germany, France. That's what we want. So this is, you configure which country's passport you're going to imprint on your blank passport here. So we use our unused passport. We stick it in the opening, insert it into the slot. And with this set to France, I think this is a note. Yeah, so this is the button. You push the button, and after a few seconds, the passport comes back out. There's a French passport in good shape. Take the new passport. Hey, what's up, Joe? We've been seeing some pretty impressive graphics previously, for sure. But in case you were watching the most recent game before this, that was Shaken But Not Stirred, the 1982 Spectrum unlicensed weirdo game, which actually did have graphics, some graphics in some parts at least. But this is far from we've been playing more graphical games than text games, but I suppose it's been a little bit of a mix. I think it would not be a stretch to call this the best looking, the most impressive looking game so far, though. So we can operate the false bottom to close it back up, and I think that's all we need right now. So let's operate the briefcase again to close it. If you try to open the secret compartment, unless you're in private, he just won't do it. As far as I'm aware, yeah, you think it lacks of class? Whatever the case, it's empty. The sign says, please leave the toilets in the same state as you found them. Think, mirror. Yeah, there's nothing to, you can't interact with the actual faucets. Electric socket. For wiping your hands on. All right, operate sink. Absolutely not. It would be a waste of my valuable time. What kind of a weird confrontational comment to get for trying to wash my hands. It's a little weird. Anyway, hopefully we're not missing anything. I'm super paranoid about stop fucking myself by missing super missable stuff, but oh well. So now we have our American passport, but we also have a French passport, so let's give that to the customs official, and hopefully we won't get dragged into some secret dungeon. You show your passport to the customs official. Everything's okay, senor. Have a good stay. A little wave, too. I love that. Even, the way that these characters are animated. Look at the lady here in the booth. When we get closer, she'll lean forward. What a cool touch. Examine welcome, hostess. The young woman doesn't pay any attention to you. Even if you're not making a real Bond game, I feel like if you're making any kind of Bond pastiche, Bond would, commanding Bond to look at a young woman seems like it should elicit some kind of response beyond the acknowledgement that she doesn't give a shit about Bond, which also seems peculiar given the circumstance. But oh well. Yeah, the atmosphere in the presentation is really awesome. I love the expressiveness of the proportion, just the way the characters are drawn is so expressive compared to just about anything else that I can think of from this time frame in this these sort of games. We can at least speak to welcome hostess. Hello, senorita. My name's Bond. James Bond. Bond. Wait a second. I think I have a message for you. He even reached back to grab it. There's so many nice little touches like that. Great attention to detail. Here it is. It's a telegram that just arrived. Thanks, senorita. So now we can examine the telegram. Telegram reads, Flight 714, Mr. Martinez, stop. I like that James is its own like thing I can interact with. Nothing to say about it. There's nothing to say about James. All right. Okay. As far as I know, we're done in this screen. Assuming she's not the agent. But I introduced myself as James Bond. I think she would should hopefully like whoever our contact is, if we introduce ourselves as Bond, James Bond in caps, they should hopefully be able to take care of us. Can James speak to James? You speak with him? No answer. Okay. Wall of silence. All right, well, I'll just walk into him. Your airline ticket, please. All right, let's use airline ticket on guard. Show your ticket to the guard. Good, you can pass. So here we have another. Yeah, the pathfinding is a little clunky. The bathroom, and I think this one, yeah, tap is a thing here. You find nothing. Does that mean I'm supposed to, like, a sink isn't anything here, but I wonder if that's just, okay, well, he still refuses, absolutely refuses to wash his hands. All right, all right. I know of at least one purpose for going in here in a little bit. Whoa, Jesus Christ. They're clicking outside the window. We're okay, we're okay. But these are like these little baggage claim areas, and I'm getting stuck there. Okay, so we can go. There we go. So I wonder if we can. Yeah, there's like not much to look here except these bags. But we can see here 714. That's the flight 714 Martinez. Let's look at these bags here. Sticker on the baggage reads Paul Cuisset. Yeah, so here we got some developer cameos. Mr. Martinez. So let's take Mr. Martinez's bag. We can examine the other ones if we really want to. Manuel Lecos. And by examining the baggage, yeah, sticker. So we can now operate. Nope. Right click operate. Baggage. Okay. It opens automatically. Like the shape and sizing of the text boxes a little weird, but I still like the look of them better here than in the DOS version. Ooh, sorry about that. Yeah, Paul Cuisset is the lead designer and programmer, I think, of this and Flashback, and I guess Future Wars and Bruce for Corpse, if I had to guess. You find an electric razor and a watch. You put the watch on your wrist and slip the razor into your pocket. Then you close the suitcase. So the watch and the razor are also Q gadgets. The wristwatch has a wire in it. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of peculiar English in this game. The wristwatch has this wire that in the manual, like it tells the tale of Agent 002 or whoever who are able to escape a foot chase, like a rooftop foot chase in Hong Kong, by using the trusty wire as like a zip line or grappling hook or something to get from one rooftop to another. So that's like a hint, I suppose. Not necessarily exactly how we're going to use it, but the kind of feats it's capable of. And the razor, I think, has a secret recording device in it, if I recall correctly. So it's pretty cool how the manual gets like really in depth about all the gadgets, and very like detailed notes on how they work and how they're used, like in a way that we've never seen at all in any of the other games. Some of the other games have had Q gadgets. I mean, they're pretty well represented in games so far, but there's not usually like a lot of lore and instruction. Like this game, on account of being this kind of game and having a manual to explain stuff, like can afford to get into more depth than we normally would in a film. Whereas most of the other games, it's like explosive cigar or whatever. Like it's a self-explanatory kind of thing, and that's the end of it. Um, but here we get these like very detailed descriptions. Like the pen in my suitcase is also a um, it has like corrosive acid in it or something, and you're supposed to like drip individual drops of acid with different amounts depending on what metal you're trying to melt. So I'm sure there's going to be some kind of puzzle where we have to dispense a very specific amount of uh, acid or whatever it's in it to get out of something without killing ourselves or whatever. And I think that's really cool. Like it adds so much flavor, and even in the case that some of those details are kind of unnecessary, just having it there as like a supplementary thing, I think is really cool. Yeah, this was not originally a Bond game. This was rebranded with the Bond license for the U.S. market when it was re-released there in 1990. It was originally released in Europe in 1989. So it's a bit weird in a way. I mean, it's fun and it's neat, and I'm happy to like use that excuse to play this for this project. But it was not conceived. Well, I mean, maybe they would have wanted to do a Bond game, but they couldn't get the license. I guess that's possible. But I would sooner assume, at least given the tone of the game, that they were kind of going for this sort of pastiche, because it's definitely, it's sort of a, you know, loving homage to, you know, the whole Bond thing in general, but it's also the fact that it's kind of humorous and, well, no, I mean, no one's arguing that it's not influenced by James Bond. Of course, it's like very, you know, closely modeled after it, to the point where they literally could rename the main character and re-release it and call it a Bond game, and, you know, leave it at that. But what I'm trying to say is, there's a, sure, a loving reverence for the source material, but it's also kind of maybe not poking fun at it, but it's sort of um, it's being very jokey and lighthearted about a lot of things, which seems very strange. Like you would never expect anyone to take that approach in an actual, like in a project that is conceived as a official Bond thing, because in my mind anyway, trying to capture the tone, especially in a game like this where you have a lot of character dialogue and everything, seems like a pretty central thing in adapting something that's so like well known and so specific in its tone as Bond. Um, I mean, and you know, of course, License to Kill was like the current movie when this came out, which is a very different tone altogether. But even compared to the lighter-hearted sort of Roger Moore stuff, the nature and like the way in which it is sort of jokey is still very different. Like it comes across as almost parody. It's not taking the piss. It's not like making fun of it, but it's not really treating it as seriously as you would expect of something that actually is a Bond game. So I feel like it kind of works better as, you know, off-brand Bond. But as an actual Bond game in the lineup of other Bond games, it makes for a very interesting and fun contrast. So I don't mind it per se. Anyway, so now we have our additional Q gadgets, but we also are carrying around a suitcase that has someone else's name on it. So that's like probably not great. So save over that. So we can also go here. Ah, the pathfinding is a little tricky. And there's like nothing to look at or interact with here. The 312, is this my flight? All right. Flight 312, first class, no smoking. Paris? Did I fly from Paris? Well, whatever. So, like, No comprendo, señor. No comprendo. So is this guy my contact? I don't know. I was never able to get anything out of interacting with this guy. Maybe if we it's like you did nothing. Can I show him anything? That won't do anything to convince him of my identity. I mean, not that I would expect the person to meet us here to be here, like the baggage check or whatever, but like, again, I'm paranoid that I'm missing stuff. And because this character, I've not like been able to get anything. I've not been able to do anything with him. Makes me wonder if I missed something. I identify myself. If you have anything else like this, go ahead and finish it. Yeah, very strange way of saying no, nothing happens. But because I can't operate the young man. Come on, James. Control this violence that I feel in you. This is just a game, after all. I guess operate means punch in this particular context. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else for us here. So before we get in trouble, so I did this sort of by mistake before, where I noted the fact that I did have the bag in my inventory, but then I walked through and this guy looks through it and then I think he like, you don't actually game over. I think he just like, what's going on here? And then he kind of lets you go. You're not allowed to pass through here, but you're allowed to kind of go back. But I don't know if that's going to cause problems. So let's just use our baggage on bin. Okay, you get rid of it. And the fact that we can do this when so many interactions that you try to do result in nothing but an insult, to me is a sign that I'm supposed to do this. Now, of course, could be that we missed something still, but that's probably a step in the right direction. Stop, senor. Do not pass here. Your passport. So we should make sure to use the French passport once again. I'm not sure about the security measures here and how this works, because you can't just walk through here, by the way. You can kind of walk through in a circle here and have your passport and ticket checked over and over, if you would so like. It's a little weird, but hey, 80s airports, I guess. Show your passport to the customs official. Gracias, senor. Can I see your suitcases? You hand him the bag. He opens it, looks carefully in it, gives it back to you, then everything's okay, senor. Have a good stay. So if you don't, yeah, if you have the other bag, he's like, well, this is fine and all, but what did you say your name was? It's like, Bond, James Bond. Then why do you have a bag that says Mr. Martinez? And whatever happens then. But we're greeted and wished a good day, and we can move on. Music's so good. So this is kind of interesting. I love this effect that you kind of see through. Yeah, even the shadow here is affecting. But actually, when I walk behind the doors here and they open, like in the DOS version, the graphics like change completely like when they open. It's not as seamless as it is here. So I actually think this effect looks much better here than in the DOS version. Wall of silence. So there's women, children, Axizine. Nothing to say about it. There's like two screens here. The one with the dude hanging out in the baggage claim. And this where it's like, am I supposed to do something here? Find nothing. Speak with him, no answer. Taxi shows up and you just walk into it. Buenos dias, senor. Where are we going? Downtown, please. Okay, boss, let's go. Did I let you up here, senor? Yes, this is fine. Thank you. So this screen right here was like the first one where I saw where it's like, wow, okay, this really looks kind of compromised compared to the DOS version. But, you know, looking at this here, it doesn't obviously look bad. But I think the flowers come in like more different colors. This sign, I think, looks better. The bike here, it's a lot easier to make out that it's a bicycle. There's nothing to see. This bicycle could be useful. If I was on holiday, get back to work. No reason to do that. Everything is just like the game yelling at us for trying to do things. So I'm not a big fan of. I think that the ocean sounds actually sounded really good on the MT32. Arguably better than this, but this is still pretty good. Examine door. This door is completely useless, but our artist found it really neat to do, so here it is. Like, okay. Tulips. Daisy. You haven't noticed anything special. There's like never an actual comment on what we're looking at. There's always just, nope, nothing, nope, nope, you don't see anything. Which is, you know, a missed opportunity, to say the least, for like providing a little bit of flavor to the world. Like, if you're playing a point-and-click adventure, you're playing Bond, you're walking around or interacting with stuff, you have the opportunity of looking at things like, wouldn't you want to hear what Bond has to say about these things? I feel like I do. But oh well. Examine florist. Oh, he's walking over there. A girl is reading the latest issue of Minutas. Oh yeah, she's like really busy. Ugh, please. Oh yeah, that's right. Bond's catchphrase. Excuse me, senor. I've got work to do. The flowers cost 2 cruceros. Writing, yeah, the visual presentation is a lot better than the writing. Like, the writing, when there is writing, is totally fine. I mean, setting aside tonal issues, it's just, it feels like very, what's the word? Like, the feedback feels very blunt and unengaging. There's just not, like, there's so many things where there should be writing. It's like, insert writing here, and there just kind of isn't any, which feels like, makes the game kind of feel, I don't know if unfinished is the right word exactly, but it certainly feels it's lacking in like embellishment, it's lacking in polish, in that sense, and it's very notable. Like, yeah, you can compare it to Sierra Games, to LucasArts, but even stuff like, you know, the ICOM Mac Ventures and stuff, like having tone and flavor and atmosphere conveyed by the game itself, by the game world, by the narration, seems like such a basic idea. Obviously, there's still, you know, there's more work to write it all. You can have maybe a pool of standardized messages that you get when you try to, when, you know, the player try to do something and it doesn't work. And, you know, because that happens in Monkey Island or whatever too, right? You try to use something on something, and Guybrush will say, that doesn't work. There's plenty of things you can look at in those games where he says, I don't see anything special about it. But most things that you can look at the very least, will give you some kind of response. Like, Guybrush will have something to think about it, or something to say about it. But here, it's as if everything that it's like gameplay crucial has a response, but outside of that, very little will give you any kind of response, and it makes it not only less fun and interesting, but it also sort of discourages actually engaging and interacting with the game world, which I think is really bad, where it's like, you kind of, it's instilling this sense of like, well, if I try to look at things, if I try to do things, if I try to interact with things, the game's gonna yell at me, so I'd rather, like, you know, I'd better not even try. Which I think is a terrible feeling to instill in a player in this type of game. Like, obviously, I'm you know, taking it to a little bit of an extreme, but it's kind of heading in that direction, especially compared to games where you try something and you are rewarded with funny or interesting or insightful or in some way meaningful content, you know. So I think that's like a missed, not just a missed opportunity, but just like a misunderstanding, I feel like, of what a player, at least, you know, from my perspective, is looking for in a game like this. So I have currency, and I want to say, like, you know, do I want to buy a flower? Am I supposed to have a red carnation in my jacket pocket or something? So if I try to take it, no, that would be stealing. But if I try to use currency on the florist, I don't have any more change. Maybe I use the currency on the flower. I mean, I don't know that I'm supposed to buy a flower, but I kind of feel like it's a thing that I could do. Well, you should probably... I'll save here, I guess. Let's just try that, see if it works. If you have anything else like this, go ahead and finish it. Like, what does that even mean? Can I try to take another kind of flower? No, that would be stealing. Can I... Oh, that's right. I can use things... If I click outside the inventory, I can use an item in the scene with something else. So maybe I can use it on her. Nothing's happening. So maybe there's a mechanic to actually buy flowers, but if it is there, I can't figure out how to do it. Which is also not a great sign. But this is like so shortly into the game that it's hard to say. Like, I haven't yet gotten a good sense of the level of kind of intuitiveness, like where to draw the line of saying, no, okay, I feel like I've exhausted this, you know, the options here. I think it's safe to say that this is not something I can actually do, versus like, well, I might just still be wrestling with the parser or whatever you call the equivalent here. I mentioned this last time too, by the way, but I love that this game actually has like proper full screen art like this. Of course, the Sierra games, the older ones, usually had that too. But you have this kind of increased graphical fidelity. You know, the Lucas games always had the kind of windowed, you know, letterbox kind of look. Same thing with the ICOM games. They had like all these different windows. I don't think the framing and the presentation is as kind of the cinematography, so to speak, is as compelling here as it is in the LucasArts games, for sure, like with the interesting camera angles and stuff. Like, that was something that they could do more within Monkey Island when they had the scaling character sprites and everything. But I still think it's, for 1989, 1990, it's still damn good looking. Telephone booth. It looks like a nice phone booth, but it's out of order. Oh well, who would you call anyways? There's no open here, but no result. Maybe I can find some loose change? Examine man. This fellow is just living the dream of all of the Delphine team. Sleeping, sleeping, sleeping. Yeah, weird, like, fourth wall breaking like that seems odd for a Bond game. He answers you with some more snoring. Okay. There's a beautiful garden on the other side of the wall. So we can go to the bank. This leads to the park, or the garden, I guess, which then leads to, like, the military base, or whatever it is. And I think this leads to the beach and the hotel. Well, we can go up here first. So this is, like, as far as I've gotten into the game. Not only have I not been able to achieve anything past this point, I've yet to really reach what I would consider a puzzle or challenge. Like, I don't know, I have no idea what I'm meant to do from here. All I know is that I've been told that we will be contacted by our contact. Forbidden to poodles. Music's so good, though. We operate the bench. You do it, nothing happens. I do what? What did I do? Nothing interesting. No need. No need for flowers, okay. Palm leaves, nothing interesting. I'm assuming I can't, like... You haven't noticed anything special, alright. Assuming I can't, like, walk to a different screen here, or can I? It's not. Yeah, very comfy music. Oh, wait. Oh, James. I was like... I just saw a word flash by with a J. Did that say jars or something? Like, oh no, it just says James. Let's forget about it. Can I take James? Let's forget about it. Operate James. No result. Okay. So this is the... Yeah. I guess these are bullet holes, right? That's what we speculated last time. But there's, like, very little you can actually interact with here. There's the soldier, and that's, like, literally it. Soldier doesn't look happy. In fact, he looks downright mean. And I want to say that we're going to get yelled at if we try to walk out here, either by the game or the guard. It's all jungle over here. I have many more important things to do in town. Do you really, though? Like, I can't see whatever this is. Get out of here, senor. Nobody's allowed by the entrance to General Manigua's palace. Yeah, so General Manigua is the dictator of Santa Paragua. And he is the kind of the lead suspect, I guess, in the stealth thing. It's actually really cool in the manual. Like, it gives a pretty lengthy rundown on, like, the current leads in the case. I can't exit the screen this way, I guess. The game definitely does not make it even remotely clear where any of the exits are in screens, which I think is also not great design. The music fading out. That's pretty sick. Automatically opening doors? That feels pretty user-friendly. All animation here in the privado room. Nothing interesting. Nothing to say about it. Music. The guy behind the counter seems worried. Cigarette butts. Okay. Stained glass door, you find nothing. Speak to bank clerk. Before you have time to open your mouth, he cuts in. Sorry, senor, but I don't have time to talk. Okay. God, the music's just going crazy. Right, can I use my currency on him? Take the bill out of your pocket and throw it on the desk. You have any change? Of course. Wait a second. The bank teller takes the banknotes and gives you back some change that you do not count. Here you are, senor. I have a little more change if you need some. Okay. So we still have currency, which I guess is like lots of money. Okay. I guess the game probably doesn't... Like, if this was a smartly designed modern game, I would trust that the game just gives us a nondescript amount of money that's going to last us for how long we need it to last. And not like an actual set amount that we can misspend and soft lock. But given that the only thing I know about this game is that it's like infamously a bit of a dick and it's gonna let you soft lock very easily, very frequently, I can't really trust that it's gonna do that very nicely. Hey, what's up, Hoffman? Yeah, this game's cool, definitely. Is it good? I don't know yet, but it's cool. So now we have coins also. So maybe now that I have coins, I can give coins to the flower woman and get something back. So this is progress. We didn't achieve this last time. Can we operate the ashtray? Can we do it? Can we take ashtray? No need. All right. All right. We can go down here to the the vault, I think. Just wander in. Yeah, this looks good. Like this, I think there's some like things blending together a little bit, but I do think it's a nice use of a small color palette otherwise. Find nothing. I feel like Bond could probably squeeze through in between these bars. They look pretty, it looks pretty spacious. Even in his power stance, he literally can fit in right between these two bars. Oh, not if he turns around, I guess. I don't see anything from here. If only I could come a little closer. Wasn't there... Am I imagining things, or was there like a safe cracking thing somewhere in the manual? Actually, let's see. I think we have still... oh, well, okay, we got that. That's the copy protection sheet. There we go. We're not gonna, like, look through this, of course, but, or, I mean, like, read through it cover to cover. But, yeah, confident. Yeah, we get the confidential report on James Bond, all his expertise, distinguishing marks, vices, etc. Yeah, important information about the stealth affair. Suspect number 1, General Manigua. Suspect number 2, the KGB. Appendix A, the stealth fighter. Appendix B, weapons available for this mission must be returned. False attaché case, the calculator, which will explode if removed from the case, which seems like a bit of a dangerous feature. The NTY forger. This ultra-modern machine is designed to forge passports. Yep, we'll use that. The watch cable. Yeah, little illustration here. Little diagram to show you how Agent 002 were able to escape capture the roofs of Hong Kong. Here's the pen. Yeah, the benzoic acid pen. The recording razor. Yeah, the safe cracking box. Allows you to find combinations of any safe. This box was dreamed up by the world-famous burglar known as the Cracker. When it was caught by Agent 003, this mastermind of burglary told us all his secrets. So maybe when we find our contact, we'll get a pistol and our remaining gadgets. Because we also don't have rocket-launching cigarettes. We have a pen, which I assume is the cutting pen. And fingerprint-revealing cigarettes. I love that we have multiple cigarette-based gadgets. This is basically Space Adventure Cobra. Which is basically Space James Bond anyway. Alright. I just wanted to double-check that, because I had this vague recollection of a safe cracking thing. I didn't imagine it, but it's in a box of some kind. Alright, it says that there's like the enriched mercury batteries in the code-breaking box are extremely sensitive to sound, which is what makes it work, but they're also very, very time limited. So that's, I'm sure that's going to come into play. Alright. Well, whatever the safe cracking box is, like if it's disguised as something else, we don't have it. So we have the pen. You haven't noticed anything special. Well, I wonder if we can, I guess maybe I can actually use the pen to bust through this, the metal bars. If I know what metal they are. But if there is a, safe cracking device I can use. I don't have it, so... Pretty sure there's nothing for us to do here. But we got our loose change, so we at least can try to buy a flower. So maybe if we have a flower, we'll be recognized by someone who will... I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make sense that I'm just randomly going to guess to buy a flower, and that's gonna have someone recognize us. I think I can go down here. I'm pretty sure there's nothing. Operate beach. Beach mode engaged. Nope, nothing here. Pretty sure there's nothing over here either. Yeah, the shoreline looks a little bit funky. There's like the transition between the turquoise and the beige is a little bit rough, but like all in all, again, there's nothing about this that looks bad. Just some parts where you can kind of tell, you can see the additional benefit of the improved color depth of the DOS version. Ah, so there is a taxi stand here. Oh, I guess this is like gravel. I wonder if that means we can go back to the airport. I guess no taxi is just gonna come up here, but can we speak to him? The hotel is full, senor. There is nothing for you to do here. Okay, wow, that's very welcoming. You know, I could have another errand here beyond renting a room. Maybe he just doesn't like foreigners, which I guess is a bad property of someone who works in the hotel industry. Oh, little animation, it's pretty cool. Dude, even these like tiny, there's just like 12 pixels of a face, but it's still so expressive. It's so cool. Yeah, but this screen looks great. I didn't really do anything. Last time I played, we got in here, but I guess the reason I didn't do anything here is because you can't fucking do jack shit. You can interact with the receptionist, but that appears to be literally it. Nothing interesting. All right. So he's just going to say that there's no rooms, right? Before you have time to pronounce a word, the receptionist barks out, "Full!" Which says pretty much how he feels about you. What's up, Icarus? Yeah, this is a cool game. It's a French game by Delphine Software. It's got really cool art and presentation and really questionable writing. And I can't say much about the puzzle design just yet. Can I leave here? But I've been told this is like not a great experience. Easy to like get stuck into soft lock and stuff. So I think we've been to every screen. Let's try to give, or sorry, use coins on lady here. The florist. You give some money to the florist. You're paid up, senor. Choose a flower. We probably have to choose the right one, right? There's daisies, tulips, and red carnations. I feel like red carnation, that's like... There's something classic to that, right? Okay, you take the prettiest red carnation. So can we now use it? Actually, let's examine it first. Nothing to say about it, of course. Can I use it on James? Okay, you put it in your buttonhole. Would have been sick if there's like a little red pixel on his sprite, but you find nothing. Oh, please. Flowers cost 2 cruces. So I guess I wonder, I think, didn't the bank clerk say that he had more change? But maybe if we pick the wrong flower for whatever we're supposed to have a flower in our jacket for, maybe we can, you know, we can have a second chance to try a different flower. This could be a secret agent man, right? We use... I still have this in my inventory, that's nice. Maybe I just maybe now I can just go to the park and hang out, and someone will find us and contact. Like we've been told that someone will contact us, but I guess the person who said that literally in their next breath said something about us contacting them. I didn't even have to operate the bench. I just walked near it, so something triggered here. A little bit of rest at last. Maybe something will happen. Can at least enjoy the music. Maybe I have the wrong flower. Maybe it unequipped the flower. You're already wearing it in your buttonhole. Okay, sure. I mean, it's entirely possible that I were able to sit down before. I just couldn't figure out the pixel to click on. It is kind of cool, I think, that there's some things like that where you don't have to actually interact. Like, you don't have to manually open doors, for example. You didn't have to manually enter the taxi, and I guess you didn't manually have to sit down on the bench either. Doesn't really appear as if much is happening, though. Yeah, so you just, like, stand up. Okay, yeah, you just gotta kind of find the right pixel. Okay, so maybe... I mean, the stupid thing is, it's not like I was given a code of, like, make sure to wear this flower and they will contact you. I'm just, like, guessing. Which seems like a pretty bad code. Someone just happens to wear a random flower. Yep, okay. I'm impressed that there's, like... There seems to be no immediately obvious ways to, like, die or game over. There's, like, 2 places in the airport where if you show the wrong passport, they'll have you taken away. I guess we can try to get some more change. Presumably, if that's the purpose of this guy. Yeah, nothing more is gonna happen. Have any change? Yeah! Why didn't you ask for everything at the same time? The bank teller throws you some coins that you don't count. So can I... Now I don't have any more currency. Okay. We had lots of money, but we... We had lots of money, lots of cash, several bills worth. I exchanged some of it for 2 Cruceros, however much or little that is. If it's enough for 1 red carnation, I can't imagine it being that much. And then we did the same thing again, and now we're out of money. So that's probably not good. That's probably well on our way to a soft lock. So we'll keep playing for now, but if we try to buy a different flower, like, let's continue to walk around here and see if like, we're gonna want to load the save game, but if the carnation does something, we'll want to reload to not have exchanged the other cash. If it doesn't, we'll try to buy another flower and see if that works. Wait, what? There we go. And not have spent the money on the red carnation. Can I walk this side? Nope. I have to walk in over here. If I can. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the pathfinding is highly questionable. I doubt, like... I'm sure we're gonna go inside here later. Pull... There's like not that many people we can see or interact with. There's like the weird sleeping guy. Unless we're like somehow go back to the airport and wear a flower and then we can talk to someone. Oh, taxi does appear. Yeah, to the airport. Okay, boss, let's go. Okay, cool. That's good to know at least. Oh, another woman and child is not here. Just a little piss stain in a gutter. Find nothing. Speak with him, no answer. I don't think I can. Yeah. Music's sick. We just wander. I mean, I technically have my passport and ticket and stuff. Yeah, did I lose? Did I pay for the fare? I still have my coins. So even that is like sort of generous of the game, right? Maybe that, you know, so I don't think I can walk in here, right? First, give your airline ticket to the guard. Okay. All right, so maybe. Wait, can I actually go through here? Nope. Hardest part of the game. No comprendo, señor. No comprendo. All right. Nope. Use. That won't do anything. Well, I should be able to. Oh yeah, I have to walk out through here. Show him my passport. It's okay. Talk to the information booth lady. Is she gonna be impressed with our new flower? It's like a slightly worrying sign that we can go back to the airport. I mean, I guess it's good if you miss the Martinez bag that you can get it. And that might be the entire purpose that it serves. Maybe later tonight then? I guess that's probably something I could have done earlier. Nope. She's just like looking back at her shelves when Bond is trying to impress her. Okay. uh, Nothing's happening. Okay. All right. Okay. I suppose what we can do is we can... No, I should be able to walk. I think you can walk. Yeah. I guess we can try to buy a different flower. And see if anyone or anything reacts to us. Actually should hopefully just show up. There we go. Downtown, please. We'll find out if there's some sort of limitation to the taxi mechanic. Well, okay, let's use some more coins on the florist. Paid up, senor. Choose a flower. I guess we'll go with the daisy. Can we exchange the flowers in our buttonhole? I won't put this kind of flower in my buttonhole. Would you, if you were me? Okay, that's not what it's for. I was gonna say, like, a tulip, you know, on your jacket seems a bit odd, but okay. So the fact that you can do that, you can get the coordination and you can do that, that seems like it's gotta be a thing, right? And it seems like it's, you know, a very uh, a very typical spy code thing, right? To have like, you know, you're gonna meet this guy, you're gonna recognize him from the carnation in his jacket or whatever, and that's, you know, that's my immediate assumption. But there's not that many people who could see it and react to it, and I feel like we've talked to everyone that could, unless again there's like some secret trick to making somebody appear by sitting down on the bench. What's happening? Bet you he's not gonna have anything to say about the daisies. You haven't noticed anything special. We're out of cash, right? Yeah, yeah, we're out of cash. Unless something mysteriously materialized here. Actually, if we're just fucking around, I should take the pen and see if this is the pen. It should be the pen. It doesn't look like the pen in the manual, but it should be the one that lets us melt shit. So you can't take the calculator. There's so many things to take, and you want this one. Wow, okay. I thought he would say, couldn't I? There's something I want to say. Because, yeah, again, the manual explains that the calculator has, you know, you press a button combination to open the secret compartment. But also, there's like 10 kilos worth of explosives in it or whatever. So, and there's like an automatic trigger. If the calculator is removed from the suitcase, it explodes. Uh, which is like, what exactly is the purpose of that? Like, when is it like if someone, if you know, even in the airport, right? You just hand the suitcase over to the customs guys, and they're just gonna open it up and like lift out the calculator to see what's below it, and just like everything blows up. It seems like a very poorly designed feature with a very unclear intended use. What's up, Taco? Unfortunately, we all we can do with this is we enter the secret code. Well, okay, if we're in a more discreet place, open the secret compartment, which all it contains is a passport forger. Take the clothes, no need. I operated on the clothes, but nothing happened. Okay, I was just wondering if there's like something underneath it. All right, so we have no money, and we have a daisy. Oh yeah, the pen. You haven't noticed anything, but so okay. Do I like operate pen? Nothing's happening. I guess I'd have to use the pen on something. Just for a laugh, I guess we could try to go to the bank and see if we can use the metal or the pen. The different footstep sounds is like even having footstep sounds in general. I feel like it's pretty fancy for the time. There we go. Again, I feel like the fact that you like the interactions are so limited in general that when you're allowed to do something, I feel like my immediate assumption is that it's going to have some meaningful purpose. But there's probably some other trigger that needs to happen first or something. So I wonder if... Yeah, I can't remove the red carnation from... Orange carnation? I can't remove it from my buttonhole. Apparently, it's permanently lodged in there. Well, I'm pretty sure the military bard guy here is not our contact. Yeah. Oh, I'm sitting here yawning, getting tired. It making me realize that I've been going here for quite a while. I think this is, I guess we can, I mean, I don't know. Is it a good idea to save? We'll save in a different file to be sure. Wait, what? ScumVM, oh, there we go. Out of cash. Let's name it that. Okay. Pause. Beautiful. Let's pause the timer as well. We've achieved pretty much nothing here in the last hour, but we've enjoyed a lot of atmosphere. Let's see if we can maybe achieve something after the break. I'll be back in a little bit. Let's get some Bond jams, newly added Bond jams to the playlist. Let's listen to this because we didn't really get to hear it when we actually played it. Hang on. I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, I'm back. Man, the music in the video kill, amazing. The game, an absolutely unplayable mess. But hey, you can't win them all. Anywho, I guess we could try to see if we can use our pen on something, anything, anyone. Nothing's happening. All right, let me resume the timer here also. Before we load a game. And try to buy a tulip? I guess. That's about the only thing I can think of that we haven't done yet. Except try to melt the bar. That's the thing too. The manual goes into great depth and detail about how much benzoic acid you need to melt certain types of metals. Metal desk. Nothing's happening, of course. But there's no guarantee. Like, the manual also takes great pain to explain that you need to have the correct secret password to enter on the calculator to open the secret compartment, but it doesn't tell you what the password is, and then in the game you click operate and then that's it. You don't have to worry about it. So maybe the pen, it could be like that too. Nothing's happening. I operate the pen. Nothing's happening. Yeah, I like, it's just an open staircase down here. I feel like, again, look, you can literally fit right through like this. I mean, I have no idea if I have any like actual errands in here, but I'm a point and click protagonist, damn it. It's my birthright to break in anywhere and steal everything. Yeah, dude, I'm like pretty much at a loss here because if only I could come a little closer. All the briefing we got from the fucking head of CIA is just like, oh, travel to this country, our agents will meet you there. No, they didn't. I guess maybe we can, like, go to the beach and just stand around, and maybe someone will show up. Did I try to give money to the sleeping guy? I don't think I did. Oh, there we go. I operate the beach, no result. So we have the watch. Okay, so hang on. We have the American passport, which is pretty funny too. We, like, James Bond is traveling with an American passport, even though we had to fake our passport. Like, it seems like it would have been easier to just fake the passport before you board the flight. But, you know, it would seem like it might raise more suspicions if we got on the plane using an American passport and got off the plane using a French one. But, all right, you know, I'm no secret agent. What do I know? But yeah, of course, in the original game, the main character, John Glames, I suppose, is an American. So he would have an American passport. But whatever. No matter. The airline ticket, which we basically used to get past the guards to confirm that we were on the flight. We have our Q briefcase that contains the passport forger, a boring magazine that we don't care about because we already read it on the plane. I think that's about it right now. We have our fake French passport, which we needed to use to be able to get through the security, the customs, without being game overed. We received a telegram that informed us, basically gave us the hint that we needed to grab Mr. Martinez's bag in order to get the razor and the watch. The watch, which contains the secret wire that we can use to, I don't know, get between rooftops in Hong Kong. And the electric razor, which contains a secret recording device. We got the pen out of the suitcase, which the manual tells tall tales of a mysterious acid-loaded pen that can be used to melt various metals, but either this is not that pen, or its use is highly specific and / or cryptic. We also used the plenty of money that Q packed for us on 2 flowers, and now we're all out of money. One of which we can stick in our buttonhole, and the other of which Bond refuses to do the same with. And that's pretty much it. No one wants to talk to us. No one's got time. What if we're an important American? Of course, the only other time we were asked to show some sort of ID, or I think telling anyone that we're American, got us. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. I just didn't think to look at these doors because you can't do anything with it. But in this game, you just walk up to doors, right? Okay. What's up, the opponent? That was like a complete miss on my part. So does the elevator work the same way? I can't examine the button. Okay. So I can operate the button. Okay. Progress. New content. Little things moving. I mean, I still am most likely going to want to load the save game. Oh, this is a pretty cool interface. The 3 floors. Let's start at the top. Oh, I have to operate 3. This music is sick, but it seems a little... not out of place exactly, but pretty action-y. So this is the stairwell, I'm sure, right? Yeah. Is it gonna scroll? Surely not. Okay, so there's like 3 rooms per floor, I guess. I would think that we're not meant to just wander into some hotel room. Yeah, because normally, again, you don't operate doors to open them. If they open, they just open if you walk up to them. But these are screens that we haven't seen before, so we should at least explore them, right? Just in case there's some random shit that we can find. Oh, a little animation of me walking down the stairs. Pretty good. All right, 2nd floor. Something interesting. Just in the off chance that we get, like, that's just something you gotta get in the habit of doing, I guess. Bump into every door just in case it opens. Obviously, something's gonna go down in some hotel room somewhere. Seems like the exact type of location in a game like this where there's like several floors for immersion, but none of them have anything. Okay, floor 1. I clicked accurately first try. Identical. Alright. To be expected, but at least we've found some new screens. These are the first screens that I'm seeing that I have not seen in the DOS version. And having 0 comparison, I think they look great. But it'd be interesting to see the entirety of the game in both versions, just compare. Down in the graphics. Alright, well, so much for that. But hey, it's technically something. Can we walk down the grass? No. Can I leave here? Okay. I'm pretty sure. Can I go here? No. Okay. Again, like... oh. The exits on each screen are like pretty poorly signposted. I walked 1 pixel too far up. Operate the bushes or anything? Nope. How do I leave here? Am I clicking too close to the... Oh, okay, whatever. I'm playing windowed mode also, so if I have to click very close to the edge of the screen, it's a little bit dangerous, alright. So if I had coins... So when you look at it, right, he says, looks like a nice phone booth, but it's out of... Oh, okay, it's out of order. I was going to say, I thought he said that he didn't have loose change or whatever. But no, it's out of order. Yeah, exactly. You can't blame the game for, like, being a little clunky in windowed mode. It's, like... It's just the reality of playing it like this, that it's going to be a little annoying. But luckily, you know, it's rarely a... it's rarely an issue where you have to click accurately, quickly, under pressure. Tulips. I'm just trying to think. Like, if we were to assume that any of these people that we've seen are in fact our contact. And you know what? Let's consult the manual and see if the manual had any additional briefing information. Just listen to these sweet ocean sounds. I reckon the text is probably going to be a little bit difficult for you to read, maybe, but I'll read aloud any relevant parts. So these are all the Q gadgets. Interplay Productions limited 90-day warranty, not really relevant. Copying prohibited. Okay, sure. Let's keep that in mind. Technical support and hints. There's a phone number for the hint line. Maybe I'll look up a UHS file or something. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it's talking about the different weapons on the stealth. Like, it seems to be implied pretty heavily that we were going to be operating a stealth fighter at some point in the game. Which I think, setting it up this way... You know, if you imagine a Bond movie where this super secret, mega high-tech airplane was like a MacGuffin, you would expect Bond to pilot that plane at some point before the film is over. So, I feel like it's only fair to expect the same of a game. Alright. Okay, so here's what it says. Let's see. Okay, we're getting some background on James Bond, but previous missions, restricted access, top secret documents. Current mission, recover the stealth bomber. We're sending you to Santa Paragua immediately because Agent 006, who has been on a mission there for the last 6 months, has sent this worrying telex. Important information about the stealth affair. Stop. I need urgent help. Stop. Your first task should be to find and assist Agent 006. We have learned he has some important documents which reveal the location of the stealth. You're on your own after that. So that's slightly more information than we were given by the head of CIA. Because he just said, I traveled to this country, someone will find you, and then you can find them, and you can talk, and whatever. So Agent 006 is somewhere, and they're in trouble. And he, it says, so I guess it's a guy, which means we could rule out Flower Lady. But also, there's, like, the agent is someone who's, like, in trouble. So they're probably, you know, they're not going to be hanging out on the corner of the street waiting for us to waltz up to them and give them some secret passcode. So, presumably, we're not going to be, like, no one's gonna come up to meet us, I guess. At least no one that we like, you know, not the person we were assigned to contact. So could it be could it be that we should break into a hotel room? Should we break in the vault? Maybe I should just try every inventory item, right? Like, what if the watch wire can somehow pick locks? What if the Razer recorder thing can cut things? I don't know. How hyped do you think they were that the title had the word affair? Well, it didn't originally. The original title of this game is Operation Stealth. I guess they had to come up with, well, the Americans at Interplay, I suppose, came up with a more flowerful title for the Bond version, the Stealth Affair. I think I like both titles, to be honest. Neither of them is like particularly clever. There's no like puns or you know, wordplay or anything like that, but they work well enough to sort of get across the very basic premise of the plot. So we can sit down on the bench. Because again, like I can examine my Q gadgets in my inventory, and he's like, nothing, whatever. I just realized as I said that, like, wait, did I actually even inspect them? It's a plain old electric razor. You see that there is a battery compartment on the back. Yeah, because again, let's hop on over to the manual real quick. Where's the... Oh yeah, I love this. The recording razor, it talks about the picture somewhere, and it's the only gadget that doesn't have a picture. Make sure the razor contains a blank microcassette. To do this, first press the eject button. You will find the microcassette where it's shown on the drawing. There is no drawing. Make sure the cassette has been rewound. Which, you know, careful with. Replace the cassette. To record a conversation, switch the on-off switch to the on position. The shaving heads will now function as very powerful microphones, capable of recording any conversation within a radius of 20 meters of the razor. When the razor is recording, the indicator light is green. When the razor is not recording, the indicator light is red. That is full, the razor rewinds automatically. When the cassette has been rewound, indicator lights change to red. What was that you linked? French manual? Oh, does it have more pictures? Try to take a look at that before I get it. Oh, those are pretty cool. Yeah, there's already more pictures here. Yeah, that's so funny though that yeah, give me a second and I'll it's a totally different manual, but it's reusing some artwork here. So let's hope this works in OBS and doesn't break. Yeah, there we go. So it's actually like in the style of this dossier. John Glames, again, of course, the character from the original version. So obviously it's all in French. We're not going to gain any more information here. But it does. So we get like the multiple views of the stealth fighter and not just a side view. So the watch, this picture, well, you can't see my mouse cursor, but the first picture of the watch is not in the other manual, just the Hong Kong rooftop chart. We have the pen, and here's the razor, micro cassette, eject button, razor heads, the indicator lamps. All right, that's pretty cool. We don't see it in the game, but that's fine. That's the safe cracker box on the left there. Yeah, the artwork's awesome. Like, this manual is really cool. I guess this is what is this? Yeah, ticket. to Santa Paragua. Yeah, les suspects. Le General Manigua. Le USSR. KGB. All right, cool. Well, let's. I just realized that I didn't keep the URL for the American manual. So let's hope we don't need that again. I mean, I can dig it up, but I don't have it on hand. That's fine. The pictures were cooler anyway. So if I try to operate the electric razor, you take the cover off of the battery compartment. No batteries! Instead, the slot contains a cable. You draw the cable out. Electric razor, electric cable. You find nothing. I guess probably the English version, the European English version would probably have the same manual. Yeah, because I guess it makes sense. The US manual has like a, I guess, slightly more extensive chapter on James Bond that's not present in the original Stealth manual. So I guess they had to reformat a little bit, and maybe they didn't want to increase the page count, so they took out some pictures. I guess that would make sense. But whereas the English Operation Stealth manual could conceivably be exact same as this French one. If you have it on hand, by not feel free to link it, but I'm sure we'll be fine regardless. Yeah, he's very irritable in this game. That's definitely true. All right, so if I operate the electric cable, nothing's happening. Okay, so is it like, does it have a rechargeable battery with a cable? There's electrical outlets in the airport. I guess I have to charge the razor, but well, again, I'm like, we can figure this stuff out, but I might as well load, like, we already spent all our money, right? So we're gonna need to save or load a save game regardless. But if we can piece together even these like tiny little things that can be done, I feel like that's going to be helpful for, you know, whether we can do them now, whether we can get anything out of doing them now or not. Knowing that these are things that we can do is helpful. Like, gaining that information is certainly a form of progress. So we're inching forward very, very slowly, but we are making progress. So let's examine the watch. A high-class watch that has some hidden treasures. All right, let me click that link real quick. So that's the full color. All right, actually has that actually has a better copyright protection or copy protection thing. Not copyright protection. At least this one has. Well, let me show you guys. This one actually, you can distinguish between pink and red. So the two shades of green and the two shades of blue are extremely similar to each other. But I can cross-reference this with this one, where the two shades of blue are very, you know, you can easily distinguish those, and the two shades of green, but pink and red are identical. You know, I should just fucking make a picture you can actually see. So this was like printed on like glossy, shiny, reflective paper or whatever, specifically to make it impossible to photocopy. Anyway, that's good to have, I suppose. We're obviously not going to finish this game today, so we're going to be booting up the game at least, you know, once or twice more. So knowing that we have this on hand, that's helpful. So for no other reason than that, I appreciate it. Hero John Glames. Calculator. Danger! Never take the calculator far away from the attaché case. The calculator is linked with the attaché case by an infrared beam. That's right. It's not even like physically taking it out, like breaking a fucking infrared beam, which is like if you ever fucking try to use a remote control for a TV, you'll know that an infrared beam breaks pretty easily. It seems like an extremely unsafe way of confirming the connection between the calculator and the attaché case, especially given that once the beam is broken, it'll set off an explosion equivalent to 10 kilos of plastic explosive, serious damage to everything within a radius of 10 meters. Like, that's not the kind of risk I want associated with breaking an infrared beam. Yeah, the 7 o'clock laser beam is fucking 12 times more powerful and potent than an infrared beam. The watch cable, the chase in Hong Kong. Oh yeah, Agent DSC2. Of course, it wasn't 002 in the original version. So the length of cable, 30 meters. It'll support 100 kilos. It plays out in 10 seconds. So maybe I can, like... It still doesn't quite, like... Did he fucking spend 10 seconds pulling it out and then tossing it across the roof? Or, like, across this gap? I'm still not exactly sure how the mechanics of this worked out, but that's fine. Yeah, so like the cutting pen is a fountain pen, and that definitely did not, like, the pen I have in my inventory looks nothing like this, but I guess it has a cap on it, so maybe that's why it doesn't look like this. I don't know. Yes, use the prescribed number of drops. If you exceed the dose, the vapors given off by the chemical reaction could suffocate you. So that sounds like a easy game over. Cutting pen was used successfully by Agent DSC-1 to escape from the Almudena prison. So the recording razor has... It's not really showed here. I guess the bottom, the lower back is like the battery compartment, because that's the thing that had the cable coming out of it. Yeah, could will mean will, for sure, yes. It will kill you. Does it say anything about the batteries? It doesn't even mention the batteries at all. Oh. Alright, so the watch has some hidden treasures. So let's operate the watch. It seems to be on time. No reason to touch it. So I guess I would use the watch on, you know, something. Bank and bank entrance. Doesn't this mean bank? Two different things. Interesting, interesting. So we try to use the pen on the vault door to no avail. We use the watch in the ashtray to fish out some cigarette butts. I guess I could, but nothing's happening. Alright, well, if we want to try to charge our Razer recorder, which I guess if the cable will charge it, we're gonna want to have done that at some point or another, assuming it's not gonna, like, lose its charge. Which means we would probably just load the game from when we were at the airport. And this game is hard. The game is so stingy with, like, hints, like, not even hints, but just, like, basic information about what we are meant to be achieving. Like, fucking head of CIA just sends us to a foreign country and, like, oh, find a dude. He'll fill you in. He'll give you a gun. And it's like, okay. I guess we just have to be incredibly resourceful. Let's restore our game. So here's save game number 2. At this point, we have... Yes, we've received Mr. Martinez's baggage. We have emptied it of its contents, but we have not yet gotten rid of it. Now, I guess one thing I don't know that I've ever tried is actually just fucking stealing all the bags. But will Bond refuse unless he's not meant to? Okay, you take it. I guess not. Okay. Alright, which is which here? Okay, it opens automatically. There's nothing inside. But that might have been the one I already had, right? So operate This baggage? Impossible! It's locked. Okay. I guess that makes sense. Everything else is probably locked. Now, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to put this back. Maybe I could throw it in the trash, but... No, I'm the one who has to carry all this baggage. Is there a hard limit? I guess I can only pick 2 baggages. Alright, sick. Okay, we got a new game over. It's him, soldiers! It's him! The thief! I saw him take my baggage! So, do you have an explanation, senor? But it looks just like my luggage. The game is up, senor. Theft is not a crime that pays in our country. It's taken away. Alright. Technically, the game over screen itself is not really different. But hey, that's new content, right? That's new stuff. Okay, so I believe there's probably power outlets in this bathroom as well, right? Little armchair. I think it's a couch, but armchair. I'm sure it's just an extremely wide triple seater armchair. Electric socket here. AC/DC 110 volts. Okay, so let's operate our electric razor. Take the cover off of the battery compartment. No batteries! Instead, the slot contains a cable. You draw the cable out. Use electric cable on electric socket. You plug the cord in the wall. There's a recording. It can play back audio. I guess it didn't occur to me that this recording device lengthily explain and describe how you record shit also has speakers in it. I did not take that to be a given. But okay. I guess this is probably going to give us some helpful hints. It didn't occur to me that the game was insane. It did. It did. But not quite in this fashion, I suppose. Not, you know, unhinged, but maybe not insane. All right. I like that he like literally bounced the sprite up like as he was startled. A voice coming out of the razor startles you. Contact meeting at Las Mimosas Park. Recognition sign, red carnations. Warning, this device will self-destruct in 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ha ha ha! It was a joke. You unplug the cable. Some classic Bond humor for you there. Okay, well there's the carnation hint. And we're supposed to meet in the park. So I wonder, we were like doing the right things just based on something in the middle of complete guesswork and, well, what the fuck? I guess this is the only thing we can do. But we were able, you know, we sat down in the park, a garden. I'm assuming that's the park. And we had the red carnation, nothing happened. But maybe because we didn't find this recording, the game wouldn't let, like, maybe that's a progression trigger. It absolutely could be, right? So that's actually, okay. That's good. Like, I'm just so annoyed that, like, the manual takes such pains to explain all these gadgets and stuff, and you just think about how you can use them. It's like, all right, we're gonna listen in on some clandestine meetings. And then, I don't know, you know, given that it didn't self-destruct, presumably we still could use it that way. But its main immediate purpose is to listen to a recording. Dude, imagine if you didn't have the manual. I mean, actually, that doesn't even make sense because, like, I have the manual and I still didn't for a moment consider that plugging this in would play back a message. I only plugged it in because I knew that there were power outlets in the airport. So if you would have thought to just try to operate the razor and see the cable come out, I guess you could have, again, especially given the limited interactions that exist in the game, you could sort of brute force your way there, which is kind of funny. This is like the second puzzle out of, I don't know, 2, 3, where I like accidentally stumbled on the solution before understanding where and how you were supposed to be given the hint. Actually, not. I was able to understand that I could get the telegram and that identify the correct bag. I understood that I could grab the bag and then that I should grab all the stuff and dump the bag. But I didn't. I brute forced my way through the correct passport at the beginning before I was told that, hey, you can find the newspaper by finding the coin in the coin return. And the newspaper tells you that the French has good diplomatic relations, etc. And I sort of figured out the red carnation and sitting down in the park, but to no effect. But I'm excited now to find if we'll actually progress. So we should use the baggage on Finn to get rid of the evidence. I guess maybe we can operate the razor to close it up back up. Is that a thing? No, you take the cover off of the battery compartment. I didn't realize I had put it back on. There's nothing inside. The way it treats like the inventory, like the electric cable, you would imagine is still attached to the razor. But of course, because you need to be able to use the cable and plug it in, it's like considered a separate item. But the state of the razor's battery compartment is a bit unclear. If we ever get a micro cassette, are we going to insert it? Like the mechanics of, like the manual describes the mechanics of opening and closing the like tape compartment. But then when I try to open and close or do anything with the razor in the game, it only opens and closes the battery compartment, which isn't even mentioned in the manual. Like stuff like that, it's a little bit weird. Like it's not just the relative lack of like granularity in the interactions, but when interactions exist, they aren't what you expect. Anyway, let's use our French passport. Everything's okay. So now that I know that I have information, I feel a lot less like unsure of, oh, what about these people? What about the guy in the baggage claim? Like, yeah, okay, I actually have an objective now. So now that I know that, we're going downtown. I know that I need to go to the bank to get some change. I know how to get a carnation. I'm excited to see if that will now trigger progress. So let's actually save. We'll just save over this, I guess. Sound effects are so good. All right, so actually, let's examine our currency. Lots of money. Oh, I wonder if, like, what if just doing this is fucking us up? What if we're supposed to get changed someplace else to not lose as much money? Like, that sounds incredibly stupid, but I can never know, right? Like, let's just for the sake of being thorough and checking for insanity, let's see if we can get some change at the hotel reception. Yeah, this sounds cool. Like, if you think about a lot of the point-and-click adventures and stuff, like Sierra games and even LucasArts games from around this time, like Monkey Island 1 was the same year as this game, and it's not, like, it's not wall-to-wall music. It doesn't even have sound effects for a lot of stuff, and the sound effects are all, like, even the Amiga version, I guess, which I haven't played in 30 years, I wouldn't imagine... Like, if you play any other versions, if it, like with MT32 or AdLib or whatever, it's all basically, you know, just chinks and thuds and boom, like basically like, you know, MIDI musical instrument noises for some stuff here and there. It doesn't have anything like the footstep sounds, which of course aren't here on the carpet, but like in the airport, like the echoey footsteps, like the sound effects are really good. And the music is really cool too. Now, of course, Monkey Island has great music as well, but I think the sound effects kind of stand out here. And even the animation and like, well, it's not even the animation necessarily, but like seeing the characters doing these different poses and stuff. Like you interact with the customs guy. Like it's actually a fun example or a fun comparison. If you think about Monkey Island, most NPCs you would interact with, they have like an idle pose or even animation, and when you talk, they'll, you know, their head will be bouncing around and they'll be flapping their lips. But that's it. That's usually a very well animated, like very animated, you know, full of character and personality, sort of emotion to it. But the character will never really gesture and do something else. Like that was when we played Monkey Island 1 and 2 sort of back to back. One of the kind of revelations to me, or at least like seeing them back to back that way, it was really cool to see how much more animation they gave Guybrush in the second game. Like in the first game, Guybrush can kind of, obviously he can walk around, he can talk, he can like lean or like reach forward and reach upward to like grab items and interact with them. But in Monkey 2, they added way more animations of him just like stroking his chin, pointing over his shoulder, shrugging and doing things. And like they put those animations into a lot of the conversations in the game, which makes him feel so much more expressive. And then it can like, by matching certain animations to certain lines of dialogue, they can really get across the emotion and the personality through dialogue, like in a hugely improved like depth compared to the first game. But for a lot of the NPCs, again, it's sort of like they have an idle animation and a talking animation, and maybe some of them have a very specific one for some particular interaction. Whereas in this game, the characters don't really animate, but if you, again, think back to the customs agent in the beginning, he'll stand there, and then he will, you know, hold his gun, he'll kind of maybe turn or lean over, he'll wave at you. There's like 4 different poses or something, and it's less individual frames of animation or graphics than in Monkey Island 1 for an NPC, or even for Guybrush in some cases, but they all represent different sort of states that get across the, you know, the change in tension between this guy standing there casually and him having his gun drawn. And even the information lady, the way she's like sitting relaxed, and then when you get closer, she sort of leans over to the desk and she sort of, you know, checks her shelves behind her and stuff. I think that's really, really cool. I think it's a really smart use of, like, efficient use of storage space, like not having to give tons of animation like to each character, but still have them. I think it's more useful to be able to, in a single frame, like even if they don't move, having them be able to be in these states as opposed to having one still frame for sitting there and then like a 5-frame animation for talking. I think it's interesting. Now, of course, the whole talking thing is like in this game, time stands still where anyone is talking, unlike LucasArts games, so it's like more justified to have animation for it there. But even so, it's an interesting difference. Well, even Stan in Monkey Island 1, it's kind of the same thing. He doesn't really have more animations than anybody else. Well, he can walk and talk at the same time, I think. No one else really does that. But it's kind of a, like everyone, there's like a baseline for animation that everyone kind of follows. Which, of course, you know, compared to something like this, the animation really, really sets that game apart. And even then, it's like pretty simplistic compared to what would come later. But I think it's really cool to see these different companies, different developers, different games take different approaches to like how to make the most of their limited resources. I think both this and Monkey 1 look phenomenal, but in different ways. Well, I mean, as far as storing image data, I don't think, like, technically there's like compression methods you can use, but at the end of the day, like the size of the character and potentially the use of colors, if you were like overlapping different sprites or whatever, like that's him having a plaid pattern doesn't make him more data heavy than having a single, like a flat colored jacket in itself. But he, you know, he's got a lot of animation, and probably like the animations of him just being so large, so many pixels, because his arms are all over the place, like he's kind of occupying a larger space on screen than certain characters. But even then, I'm sure LeChuck probably would have more animation data altogether, even if he's not quite as wavy and, you know, gesticulating. But obviously, you would expect Guybrush, like the player character, should of course be the most, like, they're going to be on screen at all times, so they should be the most expressive, needless to say. All right, can we use some of our currency on a receptionist? Nothing's happening. Just double checking. All right, let's go back to the bank. This guy react? Find the right pixel. Probably easier to leave on the left-hand side, actually. There we go. Use currency on bank clerk. Take the bill out of your pocket and throw it on the desk. Do you have any change? Of course, wait a second. Bank teller takes the banknotes and give you back some change that you do not count. Here you are, senor. I have a little more change if you need some. So let's examine our inventory right now. Currency, lots of money. It still says lots of money. It's so funny. I just like... I commented on the fact that, like, oh, it's nice that it just says lots of money. It doesn't tell me exactly the amount, which, like, could mean that the game is just like, we don't need to keep count because you have money. Use money on whatever, and then, like, you will have what you need, and if you don't, it's part of a puzzle or whatever. And I said, well, having said that, I wouldn't... you know, this game is such a dick that I wouldn't take that for granted of a game like this. In a modern game, like Return to Monkey Island does exactly that. Like, you get a bunch of pieces of 8, and like you don't have to keep track. There's no mechanic in the game where you have to like worry about how much money you spend. You either have the money you need or you don't. Monkey Island 2, honestly, is kind of the same way. But of course, it turned out that our lots of money can be exchanged for loose change twice. And after that, we're out of money. Even the fact that the game specifically points out that I don't even count the amount of change I get back seems like a bad sign. That's actually what made me want to go to the hotel and see if, like, maybe this bank clerk is stiffing us, like, so we should get our change someplace else. Anyway, then we can now use our coins on Florist. Give some money to the florist. You're paid up, senor. Choose a flower. And now we can take red carnations. Okay, you take the prettiest red carnation. Let's save here. We can save over out of cash. We're not going to need to load this save game again. So let's try to go to the park and then insert the flower into our buttonhole, as the game so eloquently puts it. Find the right pixel. Ah, there we go. A little bit of rest at last. Use red carnation on James. Okay, you put it in your buttonhole. Watch out! Oh, holy shit. Okay. Alright, that was quick. We got like sudden real-time dialogue. Okay, so we are playing this game a little bit sped up because the walk speed is so excruciatingly slow otherwise. But I feel like that scene played out a little bit faster than intended. Like him getting shot and them driving off quickly, that makes sense. But he's like, his greeting was like, "Hello, James." And like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Grown! Rah, James. I reached the end. Listen to me. The documents. In a safe place. Here is the key. Ah! In a burst of energy, he holds the key out to you, taped to a card, and falls down on the ground. Examine man. The man who is lying down on the ground seems to be your contact. Alas, it looks like he's dead. Well, I guess we probably shouldn't hang around. But I guess that's a safe deposit box key something or other. All right, okay, you're under arrest for murder. Okay, well, I was right about that. Yeah, okay. Oh, dude, look at these guys fucking buff as hell arms. Congratulations, you've just failed, but don't worry, you'll have all the time in the world to contemplate failure when you're behind bars. For a very long time when you're behind bars. Okay, what about my behind bars? When my behind bars what? Well, when my behind bars for a very long time, I guess. All right, well, okay, that was cool. Legitimate real progress. Okay, so... But that's so funny that we hadn't listened to the tape, so it didn't play out that way. Unless it's like a specific thing where you have to sit down before you insert the carnation into your buttonhole. If you do it first and then sit down, he won't come out or something. So let's go to that scene again. Before we can sit down first. Oh, actually, let's. I sped it up like 3 times. I slowed it down once. Let's do it once more. Actually, let's do it a 3rd time. So this is like the original speed. And let's use the red carnation on James. Bond, you took your own good time. That's what he said. Watch out! Arr! Alright, okay. Documents in a safe place. Here is the key. Ah! I love this art style. Like, it doesn't fit Bond or anything, but it's so charismatic. Alright, well, let's peace out. And I guess this is a safe box thing here. Bump the speed up again. Banco. Okay. Now that we can hopefully arrest DC, I hope they don't bust in here and arrest us. Card and key. There's a key taped to a card. On top of it, a series of figures hastily scribbled down 2475. It's funny too, like, if you think to do exactly what they want you to do, it's like super straightforward and simple. You just needed to figure out that you plug in the razor, you then get the hint that you go to the park with the carnation. You might need to take a little bit, like, if we hadn't previously gotten the change from the bank teller, I would probably have been a little confused about why our currency, because if you try to give the bills to the lady, it doesn't work. And it doesn't really tell you that you need, like, smaller change, I think. It's a little bit confusing. But you would at least be, like, very conscious of the fact that you need a red carnation. So you could get there eventually. But it's like, yeah. When I was speculating, when I didn't realize that I would have been able to receive hints on who we're meeting and how and where, it's like, are we gonna melt our way through the vault and open up a safe? Or, like, of course not. Like, that's outlandish. But when you don't know, you think you've kind of gone through the logical, simple ideas first. All that remains are the ludicrous ones. And then when you miss that tiny detail you overlooked, then all those, like, much simpler pieces kind of fall into place. So I wonder how this works then. Can we use the key? Can we operate our card and key to separate them? Okay, you take the key off the card. All right, good. We didn't lose them. 2475. Oh, well, little metal. Let's see if we can go inside here, but it could be a hotel room key or something, right? If they have 3 rooms per floor, I don't know if they would have a room 2475, but That won't do anything. Okay, can I use the key on the metal desk? Nope. Only I could reach it. Maybe I can... Well, the clerk isn't going to help us, right? Of course it wasn't this easy. What if I show him the key? Okay. The text box didn't come up immediately. Which means that if you're walking up to someone... If I, like, use an item or examine or talk or do something to a character and the text box doesn't come up immediately, that's like a sign that something will happen. Not necessarily progress or anything meaningful, but something. Unique reaction, which is just the case here. Keep this key, senor. You will have a great deal of trouble finding a copy. That's in. I don't have time to talk. Okay. Technically progress, right? You can interact with the hotel room doors. So we could see if but I couldn't see any room numbers. Maybe there's like an implication. Maybe if there is a room 2475, it'll give us the illusion that the hotel has more than 9 rooms. I would just assume that now, of course, I didn't know. I don't remember exactly the words he used as he was laying there dying, but like, unless it's a red herring and you're meant to think it's something to do with the bank and the safe deposit boxes. I just think he said, didn't he say safe something or other? I mean, he could have just been saying for safekeeping. The key obviously doesn't work in the door. But it's also confusing. Alright, so you get a key and a passcode, right? The door here obviously has a lock with a keyhole in it. But maybe the actual safe boxes have a combination lock, right? Can I use the card on the door? It's like you did nothing. That won't do anything. Did I try to operate the door? Absolutely not. It would be a waste of my valuable time. Like, geez, all I want to do was try to open the door. Like, the game is very harsh. I also don't understand what this metal desk is exactly, if it's like a thing that's for a thing. Wait, can I like walk past here? Oh, there's a wall. Oh, maybe you can reach in through over here? Watch. Orphan 79, greetings. Happy Wednesday. Alright, well, I guess we can take the key. I mean, the fact that the bank clerk responded, I showed him the key, and he had something to say about it, would seem to imply to me that there is, like, the key has something to do with this, right? But we can't, oh, the pen is still in my briefcase. Oh, right, no, right click. The interface is a little bit clunky, for sure. Oh, there's the pen right there. So take the pen. So if we examine the pen, if it is our acid pen, he should comment on it, I think, right? Because he kind of commented on the watch and the razor. Examine pen. Nothing to say about it. Okay, I can't like, I can just operate pen. Nothing's happening. Yeah, I think there's like a good amount of people who are somewhat familiar with this game. For people who are familiar with Delphine Software adventure games, like I guess it's somewhat infamous. But a lot of people are not very familiar with it. So this game was originally released as Operation Stealth, completely unrelated to the James Bond. And Interplay, who published the game in North America, for their release of it, I don't know what exactly led to it or what the sequence of events looked like, but one way or another, they had or got the license to James Bond 007. So they basically just rebranded the existing game. They changed the name of the main character to James Bond, and that's pretty much all they changed. So we are in fact working for the CIA. We traveled to this fictional Latin American country using our American passport. But the character introduces himself as Bond, James Bond. So it's good enough, I suppose. But it is quite French indeed. Obviously, these people are. My name's Bond, James Bond. He just walks up to people and says that. It's hilarious. Wall of Sight. Yeah, no movie night for this. They did make for a cool movie though. Okay, so I can't. Stained glass door. Okay. Thing like now I'm back to like trying these esoteric things, which I'm like immediately thinking like, oh, that can't be right. The right path, but a slight oversight with actions here in the bank. I think that's enough of a hint, because I guess that means I guess that means I don't need to go someplace else. If that's the case, if I misinterpret your hint and I keep banging my head against the wall by doing stuff here, I guess you can let me know if I need to go someplace else. But if the hint is there's something to do here, that's more than enough of a hint. No, I appreciate you asking. Like, I'm not very... I'm not strict on that kind of thing, generally speaking. But if I'm like you know, I don't want people to like blurt out like, oh, this is the part where you do this, like before you even get to some place. So as long as you're kind of tactful about it and ask, like that's pretty much fine. Slight oversight of the actions here in the bank. Interactions are definitely a bit weird. So, but I'll take that as the hint. I'm gonna make sure I can... Did I show the card? Him? Maybe I didn't. Thought I did? Show your card to the guy behind the counter. Okay, there we go. That's all there was. Yeah, I got confused because I thought I had done that already. There we go. I'm still not impressed with the security here. Oh, you know what? See, this is on... I guess there's glass. I just assumed these were like bars. So I was like, why does he just squeeze through when it can literally fit? But I guess the lock is there, which implies that there's glass here. Okay. Okay, so now we can examine safe displays number 2472. So it was... No, I'm trying to... There we go. Oh, I don't fucking have it. Dude. It was 7475, I think, right? This is an officially licensed release. It just happens to exist in another form that does not have the license. So it wasn't designed and released as a licensed game originally. I mean, it's kind of similar to Die Hard Arcade or something, where they kind of slapped the license on afterwards. But it still counts, and I still wanted to play it, so... If you give him the key plus card, you get the key back, but not the card. Well, I didn't get the card back now either. He took the card. He kept the card. Maybe I get it back if I go up and talk to him? I don't know. But presumably I don't need the card for anything other than getting in here anyway. $24.75. Insert the key in the lock. The door opens, and you see a briefcase that is identical to the one you have. Ah, more cute, tricky case. You are really curious to open the briefcase, which contains a calculator! These, like, extremely conspicuous uses of caps lock and multiple exclamation marks. These are certainly telltale signs of non-native English, or at least I take them to be. It's so fucking weird. Why do these French adventure games have to scream so much? Exactly, like, I don't get it. Good God! But this briefcase belongs to one of your own agents! Did you realize that it's a briefcase from one of your own agents? You set the calculator. Bravo! It worked! The secret compartment in the briefcase contains a big envelope and a small electronic box. So that is the safe cracking box. You examine the box. There are 8 red diodes and an on-off switch on the top and 4 little suction cups on the bottom. All right. So all we know, the manual does go to great lengths explaining this, but the important thing to know about this one, I think, is that the game explains that it has an extremely limited battery life. So we should make sure that we know what's safe to crack before we even try to do anything with this. Safe. All right, that's good. Examine the envelope. There are 2 words written in small black letters on the envelope. Operation Stealth. We operate the envelope. You unseal the envelope. It contains a set of documents. They look important. Suddenly. Yep. Don't move, Mr. Bond. Give me that envelope. So I probably should have taken that other thing first. You? But the assassination? I hope you like that little trick. Your colleague had been the least bit cooperative with us, sorry to say, and we've been obliged to play the game like this to get that briefcase opened. One of the men takes the envelope and opens it. Everything is here, Colonel Karpov. No names, Comrade Ostrowitz, no names. Let's go. I wonder if these guys are Russian. Later, after a hard trip. Such a cool little cutscene. It's a shame that they have these, like, solid black background, because, like, Bond's sprite blends in completely. Oh, dude, shit. Everything is ready, Colonel Karpov. No names, idiot Comrade Ostrowitz. From Russia with love, Mr. Bond. You would want to blend? Yeah, but I don't want him to. Also, he's not that inconspicuous for the most part, right? Nothing to say about it. Okay. Ropes. Bonds seem really tight. So I wonder if, I mean, given the effort they made for all this, I can't imagine that this entire scenario is a failed state. But I do wonder if we would have been able to take... I wonder if you... Because once we opened the safe, it immediately cut to the close-up of the... No, that's right. I didn't have the option to not... I didn't have the option to not open the secret compartment, because that was all, like, railroaded. But obviously I didn't collect the... I didn't collect the safe cracker box. But presumably the rest of this scenario was, like, inescapable otherwise. So in fact, let me just, out of curiosity, let's load up this, and let's take the little box. You slide the box into one of your huge pockets. All right. So, like, if we... Can I operate... Oh, I can't close the suitcase. All right. Okay, that's at least smart of them. Like, it doesn't let us do anything other than this. Okay, so there's a clever little ruse. They pretended to be our contact and pretended to be shot. I guess they somehow knew about the coordination thing in the park, but whatever. Karpov and Ostrovich, no names. Whoops. Nope, I didn't mean to. There's no skipping cutscenes in this, by the way, which is... Well, at least I don't know how to do it, if you can. Everything else is like mouse controlled. You left click or right click, and you click with both mouse buttons to bring up the system menu. You do have to press the plus and minus key on the keyboard to change game speed. So maybe there's a key somewhere to skip cutscenes, but I couldn't see it or figure it out. That's so cool. Well, we're playing the Amiga version. So I forget off the top of my head what the color capabilities of the Amiga is. It's certainly more than 16 colors, but I don't know sure if it's like 52 or 64, because you got like copper effect, like there's effects and stuff you can do on Amiga for additional colors. But there is a 256 color DOS version, which some scenes look better in that one, some scenes look worse in my opinion, because some of the scenes do have like gradients and stuff, like more added texture and detail that I don't think make the scenes look any better. Whereas in other scenes, like the use of color, like some of the scenes here are a little bit monochromatic, that looks a bit rough. A rock wall. I feel a breeze of fresh air. Okay, good. I'm glad you're excited, James. Find nothing on this rock. Rock wall. Ground. Several stones are piled on top of each other. Wait, did he move his head? Oh, he does. That's so sick. Oops, take ground. Forget about it. Examine more rocks. Nothing interesting. Beam? Okay, nothing interesting. Can't interact with these beams. Wait, oh, this one. Okay. Pile of rocks. The pile of rocks are blocking the exit! James, the situation is disturbing. Okay, I think those are all the items. Unless there's like a little pixel hunt here, which there probably is. If not in this screen, certainly at some point in the game. I mean, the coin return, which is like literally the first thing you interact with in the game, is kind of like 3 pixels. But at least you can clearly see it. Yeah, we're running the Amiga version through ScumVM. I had to jump through some hoops to get the correct files to run it, but it's been silky smooth once we got it up and running. So obviously we would want to get rid of the ropes. The ropes are in our inventory. No need to take the ropes. We already have them, I guess, because I can't like click to scoot around or anything. Can we use ropes on ground? I mean, I have an electric razor that doesn't seem like you would be able to cut through. I mean, the pen. The watch has like a piece of string in it. Use pen on ropes. That won't do anything. Can we operate the ropes? Impossible! They're too tight. Can we operate any of these rocks? Operate the ground? Oh, I can. Somehow or other, you clear away the stones. You feel something at your fingertips. Something sharp! A piece of metal! Okay, did we pick it up? I guess not. Examine piece of metal. It's hard to see what it is exactly, but it seems sharp to the touch. Okay, so do we use the ropes on here, or do we operate piece of metal? You've done a beautiful job of clearing everything away, but you find nothing. Okay. So now, use ropes on piece of metal. It's so clunky and weird that it's like in my inventory. Great idea. You rub the ropes together vigorously against a piece of metal. After a lot of effort, the ropes are finally loosened. Free at last. The ropes are loosened, guys. All right. Sick. Okay. Nice. Okay, can we take the piece of metal? You try to get it out, but it won't come. Okay, that's progress. That's progress. Probably save. Gotta be diligent about saving frequently. Dave. Oh, Dave. All right. It's a good amount of progress here. Okay, so let's look at our inventory. Maybe an explosive briefcase would come in handy, which is not something we have right now. I mean, maybe we can just start clearing the... Can we take pile of rocks? No need. Can we operate on them? It's not worth it. I'm never going to make it. Okay. There are so many things to take, and you want this one? All right, can we operate some of these things? Absolutely not. Okay, sure. Jeez. Oh yeah, what about the rock wall? Nothing's happening. Nothing special about James. Can we operate these beams? You do it, nothing happens. Maybe we can do something with the watch. Maybe we can, like, create some sort of leverage with the, our watch, string cable thing. Yeah, what if we operate the watch right now? Needs to be on time. Nope, okay. Is there anything else we can do with this piece of metal? Nope. Can we operate?
Unspeakable horror awaits you.
Ushi84 subscribing into tier 1. Subscribed for 30 months. Excellent, excellent. Almost 3 whole millennia. Thank you very much, Ushi. I appreciate it. Okay, so we could operate on this. Oh, maybe we could dig it out further to see what it is. You clear away the ground with your little agile hands, and soon you discover that the piece of metal is only the end of a pickaxe, which was just conveniently buried there. Okay. You grab the thing that you wanted so much. The fuck? All right, okay, we have a pickaxe. Pickaxe must have been left behind in the cave by a miner. Okay, well, oh, all right, so we're not going to probably dig through this pile, but there was like an airy breeze through the wall, right? I feel a breeze of fresh air. So maybe it's thin, and there's somewhere for us to start hacking through with our pickaxe. Nothing's happening. Okay, maybe not. Unless there's like a hidden pixel. Beam, pile of rocks. Even with the pickaxe, I will never get out of this pile of rocks. 16 or 32 simultaneous colors. I guess that makes sense, because I know there's certainly some games where the Mega Drive and Amiga versions are like sort of similar-ish, but the Amiga version are like notably, like have like notably fewer colors. Even though, of course, games authored for the Amiga usually look great, or at least the color depth doesn't seem like an issue. Okay. Obviously, we're going to need the pickaxe for something. Little amounts of earth surround the hole that you just dug out. All right, can we just keep digging here? Our pickaxe? Nothing's happening. We're going to use the pickaxe on something. Beam, pile of rocks, rock wall, the other beam. Can I do something else with the pile of rocks first? Wait, okay. Rock, like what is this hotspot? It's like the one of the few areas on the screen that doesn't have a rock on it. It says rock. I can take... Nope. Yeah, I was gonna say, can I examine the beam? Of course there's gonna be nothing. I'm gonna see if I can, like, automatically walk somewhere and trigger something. So these rocks look conspicuous, but I can't interact with them. Nothing but rock. Oh, wait, hang on. So the rock wall gives me a different response here. Maybe there is different rock wall zones. Can I use... I mean, this kind of looks like a little crevice here. Maybe I'm supposed to do something right there? Hmm. Did examine the rock, or the pickaxe. Been left behind in the cave by a miner. Can I use... I guess you can't use stuff on other inventory items. I was gonna say, like, do I combine the pickaxe with something else? But that... I don't appear to have the option to do that. Trying to remember what movie had a huge cylindrical prison. Main character saves some scum lady, help him or something. The only thing that comes to mind for me is like Demolition Man with the weird like cryo chamber things, but I don't think that's what you're thinking of. It's so weird that like there's a lot of scenes where you have nothing that you can interact with, like the hotel lobby. But then you have these like the beams. It seems so conspicuous that the two beams are like hotspots. But I can't seem to do anything with them. You would think that your options here are so limited that it should be easy enough to figure out, unless, of course, we missed something. So I'm just trying to think, if we received the hint of, hey, wear a red carnation, go to the park, open this bank deposit box, and as soon as you do that, you're forced into this scenario. I obviously can't rule out the possibility that we did miss something, but I feel like we have definitely played the game sort of by, what we have done what the game has asked of us. If we have missed something crucial, the game is clearly demanding that we ignore what it tells us to do. um, which obviously is not something I would put past the game. It seems entirely plausible that that's the case. I just don't know. Like it would seem to me the obvious hint is like there's air coming through. Like there's something, you know, the wall here is like our way out, basically. Like, do I move these rocks? It could be that I miss a hotspot, but thinking about like the rock wall and the breeze of fresh air happens like almost everywhere, but not like to the left of this beam. Nothing but rock. And the descriptions we get are so nondescript. We're not getting very good feedback here. Well, maybe this is just where we wrap up for tonight. It's getting quite late. We've been going for a while. It would be satisfying to break out of here, but if I have a revelation um, when I take a shower tomorrow morning or something, we'll be able to bring that into the game next time. Because I'm. Oh yeah, wait. You can try this. Speak to a rock wall. Name's Bond. James Bond. No response. Okay. Hey, when I get stuck in a single screen room, yeah, it's like, what the hell am I missing? Like, there's got to be something extremely obvious, because how could it not be when there's such an extremely limited amount of interactions? Like, you know, what if I'm meant to use my fucking cable watch thing, but I don't understand how I'm supposed to fucking use it? Yeah, for everything I've heard about the game and how, frankly, like, I felt like we sort of got stuck last time just getting to the city. Um, I'll tell you this: a friend of mine had this when we were kids, and I vaguely remember the scene of like being in the city, um, like that first screen with the flower shop. So I think we got that far, but I definitely don't remember this. Like, I think this is further than we ever got playing this game as kids. Which, granted, I don't think we necessarily played it that much, but even so. So yeah, yeah, I can't be too unhappy with that. But we'll see how many fucking streams it'll take to beat this. But if we, if we have a chill, enjoyable time, we can have all kinds of interesting conversations about Amiga and puzzle, design and point and click adventure games and stuff. One thing I'm actually realizing now. So we started playing the DOS version last time, and honestly, given how quickly you can get to where you're, like, we could start the new game and get back here in like 15 minutes, right? 10 minutes maybe. We could actually next time boot up the DOS version and play it up to here just to see what all these different screens look like and what the music sounds like in both versions. I'm actually quite tempted to do that. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure when we are going to be continuing this next time. Let me pause the timer here. Normally, I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, but I'm currently in a very hectic period at work, which means I'm not necessarily able to stream every day I usually stream. Um, and that means I'm not sure if I will be streaming on Monday. We're just going to have to wait and see. Saturday, however, I am hoping to do an unboxing stream. I got some action figures in the mail earlier this week that I'm going to want to be checking out. And maybe we'll do that as a whole stream thing. Maybe we'll do that and also play a little bit of this. I think more likely, though, I'm going to want to keep it casual. So if I have time for games, just kind of play whatever or something. We'll figure it out. Maybe I will have my new PC set up by Saturday. In which case, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to want to fuck around with playing something that actually makes use of the 3080 that I have in it. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But I am hoping / planning / expecting to stream as normal. Usually from around 1 p.m. Central European time on Saturday. But we'll wrap things up here for tonight. Shabby Orange, I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate it. I was gonna I was gonna continue that sentence, but I don't really have anything more to say. I don't want to say, "Oh, I appreciate that, but I'm not gonna do it." But whatever. Uh, I don't think it's not something I'll be pursuing in the short term. But it's always rewarding to hear people feel like my aimless ramblings have some sort of value, I guess. Anyway, let me figure out who is streaming as we get some Bond jams going here. Who are we going to raid is the question. Let's see who is streaming on this Wednesday evening. Let's see what is up. What is up on Twitch? Trying to figure out if there's someone maybe haven't raided in a while. Let's see. Bill Bull is streaming Incomprehensible Madness of War. I feel like incomprehensible is like sort of kind of goes without saying on Bill Bull's stream usually, but he's a quality streamer, so let's go say hi to Bill Bull. Oh, Abs just raided. Let's double raid. Sick. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. Take care, everybody. Have a nice rest of your week. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for all the new and continued subs and all that. I appreciate all kinds of support. Take care, everybody. Bye.